But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. We're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan, the famous Liam Martin of the Exiled Minds podcast, and we're going to be talking about Uri Geller, the illusionist, the CIA operative, what is he? The hoaxer? Who knows? I think if anybody embodies the trickster archetype, it's Uri Geller. So we're going to be talking about him tonight and his alien invasion. And of course, as you know, this show is about all those things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And the things we talk about, you know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal. Oh yeah, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And that's what's going on with this show. And as always, a part of the transparency process, as part of just kind of getting together and being able to talk to each other. It's an important thing nowadays with just the division media, just being how they are, just making sure we all hate each other. I like to think the opposite. I like to think that our diversity actually is our strength, and the fact that we're different is a good thing, instead of just saying that and then undermining that message constantly like the mainstream media does. Well, in that actual vein of thought, we have one of these, a phone number. So if you want to be a part of the show, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. And I'm here on Discord with Rohan, and let's see if we can tune into the UK. The mighty Rohan, the famous Liam Martin. Do you copy? Test 1, 2. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm all right there, Mike. You hear me? Mike, check. 1, 2.
I can hear you. I'm going to turn you up just a smidge, but I can hear you loud and clear. What's going on, my friend? How are things out your way?
Okay, pretty good. Nice to hear your voice, Michael.
You as well. My voice is out there for everybody to deep fake now. So, maybe you can deep fake your own show one of these days, Rohan, with my voice.
It's so easy though, isn't it? We could do it on audio. It's so easy to do it with audio. You could do it with free apps, can't you? In like a few minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, you just load up one of my shows and then type what you want me to say, and you get Michael Strange saying whatever the hell you want him to say. Wild stuff. That the great times we live in. So this show, shout out a couple things real quick before we get going here. Clearly, if you want to be part of the show, one more time, our secret weapon of this show is you, meaning that this is a conversation between just folks, just regular folks. I'm a regular folk. You're a regular folk. You don't have to be Linda Moulton Howe to be on this show. You just have to be yourself. And that's the best part of this is we get all kinds of amazing thoughts from amazing people, because that's where the amazing thoughts come from, just regular people. And that's why we do this. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org and we'll put you on the show. What else do we got? A couple things. Join the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat. And also the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds is to download the Fringe app. You can find it at the iTunes or your Android App Store, completely free. Just smash the play button at precisely 7 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and you'll get Troubled Minds plus all the other amazing programming that comes out of Fringe FM. All right, I think that sums it up. Now, one more quick thing is this show goes out to our good buddy the Night Stalker. He pointed this out last night, and he said, "Hey, Rohan is really into the Uri Geller guy." And I said, "Really?" And so I asked Rohan, and Rohan said, "Absolutely." And so, what's going on, brother? What's going on? What? I'm sure you saw this article, right, about Uri Geller and his alien invasion, right?
Well, no, because I've actively been avoiding news and stuff for a couple of weeks. So I thought I was going to look it up for the show, but then I thought, you know what, it'd be nice to be surprised on air and avoid it still. Do you know what I mean? Like avoiding the football scores. Yeah, perfect. So that's the football scores. Perfect. So you're in luck because I've got a whole bunch here. So Derek out there in Massachusetts sent me a bunch of links, and I've got a bunch I pulled up myself. But we'll get to Uri Geller in a moment, okay? About like his history, his past, what you think of him, and the rest of this. But check this out. This is from ladbible.com, and this is the headline of this. Uri Geller warns NASA to prepare for alien invasion following mysterious discovery 4,000 light years away. I'll read just a little bit of this, and you can you can chime in here, Rohan. Illusionist and I can't even say it. Illusionist and psychic Uri Geller has warned NASA to prepare for an alien invasion after scientists discovered a massive energy source 4,000 light years away from Earth. The 75-year-old spoke of a potential mass landing and believes the discovery may in fact be communications of superior beings from space. He wrote on an Instagram post, "My dear friends, a team mapping radio waves in the universe has discovered something unusual that releases a giant burst of energy 3 times an hour. It's unlike anything astronomers have seen before. No doubt in my mind that this is connected to alien intelligence way, way superior than ours. Start deciphering their messages. They are preparing us for a mass landing soon." He then hashtagged NASA in the post, and this is where we begin tonight. This is where we begin. Because why not? I mean, why not? If we're going to talk about Uri Geller, we'll get to who he is in a moment. He's of course, the famous, infamous spoon bender, among other things. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Rohan? With as this starts, we've got the infamous Uri Geller claiming that alien invasion is imminent. Boy, you got to love it, right? You got to love that. Hashtag invasion. Straight in.
Exactly. They're coming to get us. I mean, this isn't the first time we've heard this recently. This alien invasion is imminent, right? We've heard this from Anjali of, remember that fame of the aliens in the cave that she didn't deliver. She said that, there's a...
Don, wouldn't you have known it? That for some reason, there was just a thing, and she just couldn't do it on that day, and now we can't do it. Gosh
exactly.
Darn it! And you happened to say that at the time as well, Mike, as if you knew.
Yeah, right. Because I'm the psychic. I'm actually the psychic. I can bend spoons with my mind
in my dreams. see what I did there? but all right. So I don't know, this alien invasion stuff. I kind of get tired of it. I'm kind of getting tired of people saying stuff like this, because it's like, come on, like at least show us something, give us something, right? Yeah. Like don't leave us hanging here wondering when it's coming or any of the rest of this. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, my friend. What are your thoughts on why would he say this? What's going on? You think it's really happening?
Well, I'd be interested, because context counts for a lot. I'm sure you'll agree with that, Mike. Talked before. I think context counts for a lot, and I'd like to hear him say it. I'd like to hear his words saying these things. Do you know what I mean? Because I think of him as being a positive guy, which we'll get into. But yeah, and this word invasion, right? When you think of an invasion, we usually associate it with, war or somebody taking over or supplanting you, sort of thing, or bad times. But pop culture can be an invasion, can't it? Like Beatlemania was like an invasion of British music, sort of thing, from the Beatles. So an invasion doesn't have to be a bad thing, does it? And I think in some respects, the carrier wave of you being prepared for a kind of higher stakes game, I would completely agree with that. Do you know what I'm saying? I think we are being gradually prepared. In fact, we are in pop culture, aren't we? Over the decades, you're getting little bits slid in with the sci-fi. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I like the idea there. So Beatlemania was an invasion, all right? But well, I think it's a step too far to call the Beatles aliens, right? I mean, well, I guess I don't know.
Even if they didn't have passports, right? See what I did there? Play on words.
Exactly. I don't know. And so that's such a long time ago that I don't even know if we want to litigate that even on a radio show. But okay, so the thing is that, yeah, maybe context is important here. I think you got a great point in that. What does he mean? Is this an invasion of our minds? Is this an invasion of the government? I don't even know. Lots of people in the chat right now are saying that it's all a big distraction, a fake invasion, fear mongering, all the rest of this stuff. I don't know. I think, like you said, the context here does matter, because this Uri Geller guy he's pretty famous. He's got a lot of contacts that go back to like the CIA. I mean, he met with Werner von Braun and J. Allen Hynek of the Project Blue Book fame. There's a lot of interesting things about this guy. He was involved with Project Stargate. So it's not like he's just some nobody saying alien invasion imminent, right? There's a lot of people that believe that he has actual psychic powers, right? What do you know about Uri Geller, Rohan? Just before we get going, just sort of an overview, and we'll kind of dig into some of this stuff as we go tonight.
Well, like you say, that's why I mentioned the context, actually, because my general feeling of Uri Geller, he's been quite prominent throughout. He's been a television personality in Britain for quite a while, and he supports, like an English football team sort of thing. So, I mean, he's been part of my sort of growing up, sort of watching Uri Geller. But one thing that is always consistent with that guy is that he's always got this positive attitude, this positive outlook, and he's very encouraging. That's what I always took away from that guy. And it's not just about psi phenomenon. It's in the way he conducts himself when he does stuff. Sometimes people want to test you, don't they, with these things, and sometimes it don't work, and they don't seem to worry about it, and they'll just kind of move on with a smile, And I think a lot of this kind of, I think he's teaching people the power of positive mental attitudes in his conduct, as well as talking about psi phenomenon and talking about this stuff directly and how you sort of do it. But I think that's a bit of a theme with a lot of people with this like remote viewing things, and because that's what I know him to be. Why he first got sort of spotted was from the remote viewing as a kid. Okay, when he was like a youngster for the Israeli army and stuff. So I mean, overall, I think of him as a positive character, and being a sort of a good role model for that kind of positive thinking. And he got himself, and let's not forget, he got himself out of poverty. He was really poor, and now his net worth's about 20 million or something. So he's done okay. Do you know what I mean? So I think on that side of things, he's a good guy.
Okay, so I don't know about some of that because we didn't have a lot of that. Is it Uri Geller or Uri Geller? Uri?
I say Yuri. I don't know. It's just I always pronounce Yuri Gagarin Yuri, so I just transfer them, I guess.
Gotcha. All right, that's cool. Yuri Geller. That's what I was kind of easily saying without thinking about it. But then I read it closer and was like, "Is it Uri Geller?" I don't know. Yuri Geller. Let's just roll with that. Now, okay. So I didn't know that about his past. We talked about this a little bit briefly last night on Discord, and you did mention that he was Israeli. You said army or.
Yeah, let me go through it. Yeah, I think what it was with him, as far as I'm aware, I'm not a historian, but as far as I know, what it was is that America, the US military had a spy plane spying over Russia, those days of the Cold War and whatnot, and that's always going on, right? So they had this, one of the latest tech spy planes, and it ended up crashing in Russia, whatever. I don't know if it's got shot down or had problems, but the point is, America really wanted to get that back. It's got the latest stuff on it as well. It's an embarrassment, obviously, and they don't want Russians getting the latest technology. So Israel, being allies of America, suggested using Yuri Geller. They heard about this kid who seems to be quite promising, so they used him to try and find this plane. And he did, in fact, say it was on the side of a mountain. And then when he described the area, they recovered it, to beat the Russians and got the stuff back. So that's a good start to sort of kind of launch yourself from, I think. And like you say, we mentioned the Blue Book, and then there's in the 70s there was all the remote viewing studies in the CIA. So it's a good time to be hot on that kind of stuff,
Yeah, and he's actually, so I think when you talk about remote viewing in like the CIA and Project Stargate and stuff like that, this guy, his name comes up a lot. It comes up with like, again, Werner von Braun. There's a picture of him. Matter of fact, again, shout out to Derek in Massachusetts, a Night Stalker. He sent me this photograph. There's an actual photograph here of him, Yuri Geller, as a young man standing next to Werner von Braun. Yeah, that Werner von Braun, like the Nazi rocket scientist. I mean, so apparently they called him in and he met with him as part of this maybe Project Blue Book thing. Again, I'm not exactly sure how this shook out. I couldn't find exactly this meeting on it, but apparently it's in his book. He's written several books, Yuri Geller has. But as a young man, if he was so well, not necessarily connected, but so well respected with his ability to do things like that, like you said, with the governments and this remote viewing or things like this psychic, whatever's happening with this guy, that they invited him to meet with Werner von Braun. I mean, maybe there's something to this, right? I don't know. Well,
it's like you say when and this is completely unrelated, but it's the same kind of phenomenon that I'm going to mention. When Michael Jackson was around and he's shaking hands with presidents and stuff, and he's meeting all his dignitaries, and it's like when you've got something, when you've got a talent that's legit, it opens doors for you, doesn't it, kind of thing. And I think that's sort of what it comes to. I think that sometimes you get these big names because they're either the first person to do something, leaders in the beginning, or they can do it. Like Ingo Swann's always going to come up, Harry Potter's always going to come up because they, did those original big first public studies sort of thing. But then there's other characters like your Van Tassels and your Billy Myers that are going to keep popping up because of all the stuff that attaches to it. Do you know what I mean? That seems to pan out. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does, and he is. Those are some of the names I was going to bring up too. So with remote viewing in the CIA Project Stargate, you got a couple of the two most famous remote viewers ever, and one of them, of course, is Ingo Swann, who's now passed away. Joe McMoneagle is another name. He's the guy who supposedly remote viewed aliens on Mars 1 million years ago. But then we have this Yuri Geller fellow who was part of that, sort of in the periphery. And you said that, so he did have some success finding this plane that crashed, right? And maybe that's what kind of launched his idea and his career regarding a psychic, or I guess what would we call him? Is he a psychic? I guess that's what's going on here, huh?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, psychic. I mean, yeah, and I think that was part of it. So, because that's part of what he does too. I mean, I think he's most famous for spoon bending. So I suppose that's what a small amount of PK, telekinesis, whatever. But yeah, the mind stuff with the psychic thing. He does the I don't know if you call really mass, but he does those things on the radio where he'll try and get you to kind of guess a picture or guess a symbol or something, and then you did one on Coast to Coast, and it was one of them sort of tune in next week and we'll let you know sort of what it was. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I mentioned him, because it was in trying one of those that I ended up guessing the picture right, and it got me thinking about this remote viewing stuff again and thinking, maybe it works, and then later on reinforced it by trying the remote viewing myself. And so it's like, do you know what I mean? That's why I want to emphasize that positive thinking bit, because I think, like I say, on the one hand, I think there's some authenticity to it. People are going to be excitable about it and want to tell you because it worked. And also, I think it's sort of like, if you've got reason to believe it might work, then it's more likely to work. Do you know what I'm saying? For your unconscious sort of self-belief.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, clearly, if you have a doubt in your mind that it will work, I think it makes sense that you'll have issues. So I think it. As you say, right? I like the power of positive thinking. I like that, and you know me, like you said, kind of like what we try and do on this show is just more like like let's believe in some things. Let's wonder if the universe is actually not like we believe it is, and who knows? And that's what this is about, man. So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know a ton about this guy other than his name pops up an awful lot in a lot of different aspects, and so we'll get into him. And apparently he was touched by a UFO or something to this effect when he was a youngster. When he was which gave him his psychic powers or something. Okay, so we'll get to that. But tonight we're talking about Uri Geller, and he claims there's an alien invasion imminent. And so we'll talk about that. And of course, we're taking your phone calls tonight if you want to be part of the show. We're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan, and that's of course the famous Liam Martin, and he's got a podcast called Exiled Minds, and you can find that link in the description below. So all right, so anything else? We got like maybe 2 minutes here. Is there anything you want to add to Uri Geller? Do you believe, I guess, in terms of like Derek says in the chat, the CIA believed in it, and they believed he was able to do these things. Do you think Uri Geller actually has some sort of maybe special something that the rest of us don't have?
No, I don't believe that at all. Because no, only in the sense that I don't think he's got a special something that the rest of us don't have. I think he's tapped a special something that we all have. Okay,
that's a good way to put it. And that somehow, so you've seen the spoon bending and some of the rest of the stuff he's done, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I've seen people, like the shills as well, where they'll be in church and they'll be like, "Oh my God, his arm was always shorter at birth, and now it's growing longer and longer because he's stretching his arm out." You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Yeah.
Oh my God, donations are up $500 today. Weird.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, so you do think he's tapped into something, and he does have some sort of extra sensory perception somehow. Not just that, maybe the ability to use his mind, sort of like Yoda might with the Force, right?
I think so. I think, we'll get into that, because I think that's where this all kind of, well, part of it at least, I think that's where it's all leads, I think it leads back to the source water is going to be around that sort of thing. So we'll get to that.
Okay, sweet. The source waters. What's a Troubled Mind show without bringing up portals and source waters? Why not? All right. Again, we're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan, the famous Liam Martin, and we're talking about Uri Geller. And this individual, well, he's pretty infamous. A lot of people call him a hoaxer. A lot of people believe he really has some sort of secret powers. I don't know. And now he's claiming there's an alien invasion imminent. So we're going to talk about that and who this individual is, and maybe his connections with the CIA. Is Uri Geller a spy? If you want to be part of the program tonight, part of the show, part of the discussion, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And once again, we're here tonight with the mighty Rohan of the Exiled Minds podcast. I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. More Uri Geller, spoon bending, mental powers, and alien invasions when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're here with our good friend Rohan, the famous Liam Martin of the Exiled Minds podcast, and we're talking Uri Geller. Now, what is it with this guy? Have you ever heard of this guy? He seems to be, well, infamous. He supposedly has mental powers. He supposedly can remote view. He supposedly was able to find this interesting... What was this? A crashed jet? Which is an odd parallel, by the way, Mr. Mighty Rohan. You probably, since you've been avoiding the news cycles, and I don't blame you, by the way, you probably missed the fact that just this past weekend, there was an F-35 fighter jet, the brand new stealth ones that cost like $100 million, crashed, landing on a aircraft carrier, missed or something, and ended up in the South China Sea. And so very much like that story about Uri Geller, like you said there's a recovery effort underway before the Chinese get it. Oh boy.
Okay.
Maybe they need Uri Geller again.
Rude. Maybe there was a submersible inside the cockpit of the jet, and they go, oh, we'll just crash the jet, quote unquote, into the water to stealth the submersible in to see what they've got down there. Maybe it's one of them.
Right, the old we crashed it on purpose, but accident routines.
Yeah, accidentally on purpose.
Exactly, love that. Totally love that. Okay, so you're saying now back to Uri Geller here. Now, so he found this crashed aircraft that they didn't want the Russians to get, and this was when he was young. Back to that photograph of him next to Werner von Braun, the actual Nazi rocket scientist that was Operation Paperclip, that whole routine. So he met him and supposedly got some choice information from him, including the aliens are real, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So this guy in particular, I don't know. So you think he does have some sort of powers, some sort of extrasensory perception? Because when you search his name, there's a ton of information out there. They call him like the greatest hoaxer ever, right? What do you think about that?
Well, I'll say this, right? I mentioned he was on Coast to Coast one time years ago. It would have been about probably 2014 or something. And I heard him on Coast to Coast, and he got people to guess this symbol. And what it ended up being was a smiley face. Okay, and I had a cup of tea, being British, had a cup of tea on a proper saucer, proper china, proper bone china. So I'm thinking about this image and trying to do it. Never done this before. And I starts drawing this, draws this circle. And I starts drawing this half circle, and then I stopped. And I thought, well, I'm just drawing this cup and saucer that I just put down. But then when I found out it was a smiley face, well, I did the circle and the smile. So all I needed to do was the two eyes, and it would have been correct. So it got me thinking then, well, isn't that interesting? Because even if this guy's a fake, that kind of worked for me. And so a few years later, I then as I often say, I tried the remote viewing stuff and I nailed one of the targets. All right. So, so this is the point I want to make with this. This stuff needs exploring by all of us as individuals, because frauds or not, it works. Know what I'm saying? You don't need these people. They don't have to be gatekeepers and don't have to be frauds or not fraud. Go and do it yourself. Go and have a look. You can literally, you want to know if Kennedy got shot, learn your remote viewing, ideograms, and learn how to do it, practice meditating, learn to calm yourself and go and have a look. It's the same as looking to see if it's raining outside if you keep practicing. So, no, I'm not saying I am practiced a lot, but I'm saying this stuff works. There's so many examples. There's just so many. Our consciousness isn't local, So I would say that this fraud, not fraud stuff, I think there comes a point where it doesn't matter in some degrees. Obviously, if people are making money from something and they're a fraud, that's something else. But I think in terms of the phenomena, it's there. You know what I'm saying? And it also seems interesting that with his story, it was a trauma, so to speak, that seemed to turn it on for him. As you hear so many times, traumas or, what we might think of as psychedelic or paranormal experiences sometimes seem to affect people profoundly as if they've been activated, or it's just changed their outlook, or have they had a download? Because in his example, it was a large orb had hit him. What's an orb? I don't know. That raises a lot of questions of what is an orb. And it seems that he got some kind of download, or it's activated him, and then that gets me thinking to Rendlesham Forest and James Penniston, saying that he touched this alien craft and apparently got a binary download. And you hear about this stuff, and sometimes you hear writers and artistic people who are expressive talk about inspiration seemingly coming through them. In fact, we've talked about it on this show and on The Fringe. So, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I do like your take on this, that it almost doesn't matter, right? If this stuff is real and there's secrets of the universe to be found, it kind of doesn't matter what Uri Geller thinks in the end anyway, does it? It's all about us and our exploration. Let's get to this interesting story. Actually, before we do that, here's another claim he made, by the way. And this is why I'm like, what is going on with this? Because this is from mysteriousnouuniverse.org. That's another podcast of pretty good stuff. They don't need our help because they're very, very, very big. They've been around for a long time. But this is from A Mysterious Universe, and the headline is this: Aliens to stop secret visits and reveal themselves to us. And this was December 14th. This was only a month ago. And he said, quote, "I think they are studying us. I don't know what they really want." And, and he says, "But I think they're preparing us for contact for the Steven Spielberg scenario of landing, and it's going to be spectacular. They will probably land on the White House lawn or somewhere. All our science fiction films about alien encounters will come true." Oh boy. Pretty weird. So, okay, now the alien connection with him is that the story goes like this, all right? It begins like this. Let's see. He was born December 20th, 1946 in Tel Aviv, Israel, just like you were saying there. The way he got his supernatural powers is amusing. This is from howandwise.com, and it all started in his childhood. Geller said that at the age of 3, he saw a bright spherical UFO floating over him while he snuck into an old house in his neighborhood. Quote, "It was really weird, like a sphere, just hanging there, shining and strobing, and then it gently and silently drifted down towards the ground," Geller said. He was then struck by a beam of light that hit his forehead, knocking him onto the grass. And after this incident, Geller claimed to have discovered supernatural powers inside of him. Starting at school, he telepathically read correct answers from other students, or even mentally forced the teachers to give him high marks. Yes. Hey, if you're going to do it right. His mother never believed his story about the UFO encounter. So we'll get into more of this. I'll mark this where we left off. But that's the story of how he supposedly gained his powers. And like you said, it does sort of throw into question what an orb actually is. Is this a UFO? Or did he maybe have contact with some other, maybe higher consciousness? Or what some Night Stalker says, demon, haha. Or was this a demon? What the heck was this, man? This is a pretty cool story.
Yeah, I mean, that question about, the orbs, it segues. This way I do my crazy Ivan with this whole story, because it like I said, I mentioned Penniston, but then it's like, what are these orbs? Is there a difference between a Foo Fighter and that what Uri Geller saw? And is that different to ball lightning, which in turn, is that different to the orbs that apparently make at least some crop circles? Are they tools of Gaia to write messages for us using fields as a post-it note? What is it? And are they different from apparitions and spirits you see in photographs that apparently are people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of that going on, and some people, I think that it is interesting that in the modern ufology, it's sort of coming around to that same idea of, well, these things may not be craft at all. These things, like the things we see, the lights in the sky, may be the entities themselves or something like that, right? And where all this comes from, you got me. I think it's a pretty fascinating conversation here. But he says, so then he was struck by a beam of light that hit his forehead, knocking him onto the grass. And after that, he had these telepathic powers, and which, of course, led him to meet Werner von Braun, like you said. said, the finding that crashed secret spy plane or whatever it was, working with the military. I mean, there's a whole lot to this guy that seems like, again, if the CIA was actually interested in his mind projection, is what this is called, or remote viewing or whatever this is, there's something to it, right? There's got to be. I mean, why would they enlist this guy to help them if there was nothing to this?
Exactly, and put millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars into something that keeps panning out to be rubbish. You don't keep doing it, do you? You don't pump the money in. And it's interesting you mentioned like a beam going into his head. And I would wonder, well, whereabouts? Did it his forehead, where this, your third eye is, your pineal gland? Because we see that, examples of that, in these UFOs-looking things in Renaissance pictures. I've seen one where there's a woman kneeling down praying. It's like a cross-section of a building, and it shows you an alleyway of the street, and then the building's on the other side, and then there's like a UFO in the air, and it's got like a beam of light coming from the UFO straight through the wall into the lady's forehead while she's kneeling praying. So you get that in the Renaissance pictures. Yeah, Uri Geller talking about it. And then Max Egan, podcaster Max Egan, the Australian guy, he had a week where he went a bit strange. And something was strange about him, and he'd said, something seemed like UFO type, plasma type, cigar-shaped thing kind of came, put a beam into my head, and then I went a bit strange for a couple of days. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you mentioned the CIA. Well, surely they'd be interested. They're mandated to be interested in these kinds of things, the latest technologies, possible national defense threats. So of course they're going to be interested. And if they've got mind triggering capabilities, or let's say DNA activating capabilities, or even if it's just your head being messed with, they're going to want to know about that, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's always the most fascinating thing to me about all of this, is that if there was nothing to this, why would the CIA be trying and continuing these projects again? And they, as we know, they said that Project Stargate was shut down, MK Ultra was all shut down. But come on, we know better than that. They probably just changed the name, right? Kind of moved it offshore or something like that, so they can get away with it, kind of like they did with Guantanamo Bay, right? Like you can beat people quite easier when there's no press hanging around, right? You can do terrible things. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's like when in the 30s in American cinemas, when they first figured out subliminal messaging based on the Techistoscope, they trialed it. They told people that it kind of worked, got sales up for popcorn and Coca-Cola. People were up in arms. So they went, oh, okay, we'll never do it again. You really think they've not tried it again in the last 90 years? Come on.
Yeah,
and we
exactly.
See, and we catch them, don't we? Subliminal messaging. Obviously, they blatantly do NLP on every single advertisement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Lots of weirdness with all this. Pretty good stuff. I don't know. So the question tonight is, guys, we are taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and we'll put you on the show. We got Joseph here. Hang tight, James. We'll get to you in just a sec. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's happening, my friend? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Rohan. Go right ahead.
Hey, I want to talk about the orb.
Sure.
I know I've already talked about it kind of a lot, but after I had my experience, I had like a violent reaction, almost not like reaction, but like emotion to like I wrote first of all, I wrote it like they were like it was an alien thing, but I didn't know that was me interpreting it as alien. And, what do you call it? I wrote, if gods are coming or something, tell them to bring extra ammo and stuff like that, because we will be delivering their gifts home. Like I had like all this, and then I wrote positive stuff too. Like I went through quite a bit of like phases, kind of. So I think it's kind of like a curse. You were talking about curses, like seeing orbs and stuff. It's kind of like a curse. It can be your curse.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I don't know. Any take on that, Rohan?
Well, actually, I've got a take on that. As I was listening, I was thinking on the words. You say how you're describing how the words formulating in your head, sort of thing. And I think part of that is part of that processing and seeing kind of other dimensions of ourselves. Do you know what I mean? In exactly the same way as I would talk about other dimensions of aliens and stuff. And I think that's part and parcel. I think these things are. I don't know how to word it. I think what I'm hearing there is that sometimes orbs and these phenomenon can be kind of not induced by us, but there's a link to them in there, like whether or not we're quote unquote ready, or if we have certain moments of, like, say, trauma. Sometimes we have a bit more paranormal stuff, and like you say, when the words are processing in our heads, sometimes they come out in interesting ways as like subconscious messages. I think we're somehow intrinsically linked to this phenomenon. And your internal world can also be kind of mapping out on your external as well. And you get these moments where it's very poignant that that's happening. So it seems very strange, extra strange, because then it's like you think the whole universe can't be key to me right now. But I think sometimes it kind of is. Or you're key to yourself.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think like maybe like the aliens came, right? Projected themselves here. And we were already prepared to trap them and make that's a whole nother theory. Like we hybrided ourselves to deal with them or something.
Yeah, hard to say.
And that wouldn't be, I like to think of aliens as us, but somewhere else. Like, or not us, but somewhere else. It could be like a lizard. Like, it would be alien if it formed on an Earth somewhere else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not us that branched out, but like us, we come from, but somewhere else. And I think maybe like we're kind of like in like a pause right now, and we haven't done like too much sci-fi stuff. Maybe that's because we're going to jump straight to a military space state, like you were talking about. Like preparing for an alien invasion. So if they're watching us through time and stuff, they're going to see this standstill, and then all of a sudden we're going to disappear. And it's going to be like maybe it's like a tactical reason for why we move.
Yeah, hard to say. A lot of good stuff here. Algorithm, what's up? I see in the chat says, Rohan, yes, as if the whole energy of this realm is conspiring with you in that moment. That's well written, sir. That's a nice way to put it. Joseph, you were the best, my friend. So if you got a take on here, have you actually ever heard of Uri Geller at all, or is this news to you?
It's news to me.
Yeah, so he's famous for being able to bend spoons. Like that was sort of one of his gimmicks way back in the day, is that he would sort of like, in the Matrix where there's the little kid that's like, the secret is there is no spoon, and the spoon is totally bending. That's very Uri Geller.
So that came from him?
Yeah, well, not necessarily, but he was definitely probably one of the ones who kind of inserted it into the zeitgeist for sure. He's definitely one of the...
You would say he would be able to do it in like his dreams, or like stuff like that in his dreams?
No, not in real life. IRL. Like he supposedly was able to do the stuff IRL. Robert adds in the chat too over on Rockfin that he saw. Oh, let me read this. Robert says, I watched an old Johnny Carson Tonight Show from when Uri Geller was a guest. He was given spoons but failed to bend any of them, perhaps because they weren't his spoons, with a question mark. And so, again, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is a thing that works sometimes. It doesn't work at all. If it's a gimmick, if it's a gag, I don't know. But yeah, he was definitely one of the original spoon benders is what I like to call him. I appreciate the phone call. Joseph, you were the best. Thanks for chiming in here. Thanks for sharing your story with the orb. Yeah. Good stuff. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. Link is in the description. He does all kinds of original music and other stuff. You're the best, Joseph. I appreciate the call. Have a great night, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Take on that, Rohan, and then we'll go to James right after that.
Yeah, quick. I thought that was a fascinating take on this idea that rather than getting like an alien landing, we might just skip straight past that stuff and just slide right into that Space Force kind of police thing. And I think we're being pushed into cyberspace, that kind of accepting that reality, aren't we, in the AI? And like here in Mass City, they've had electric scooters they've been trialing for a while, and it's like they're trying to, and they're trying to encourage people not to have cars. So it's like they're trying to get us into that orderly, do you know what I mean? So yeah, maybe we're right. Maybe we'll skip the UFOs and go straight to the mega colony ships.
Yeah, exactly. Space Force. Just bring a Space Force right now. We want to see the intergalactic battle between whoever and whoever.
And people on Mars. Yeah.
Exactly.
Versus the reptilians.
Exactly.
Boots on the ground. That's what Trump said. Boots on the ground. You know what that means? People on the ground with boots on.
Exactly. That's exactly what that means. People on the ground with boots on. And there's lots of that going on in this world, I tell you what. We're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan, of course, the famous Liam Martin of the Exiled Minds podcast, and we're talking about Uri Geller tonight. And Uri Geller's back in the news because he's been making some pretty amazing claims. And there's more. He's got some other claims other than a alien invasion is imminent. But there is a connection here with alien invasion, and he did meet Werner von Braun when he was very young. And again, Werner von Braun, of course, Operation Paperclip, the Saturn V rocket, the Nazi scientist that came and basically began NASA, right? So interestingly, let's see, scrolling up a little bit, there was the individual, I can't remember her name, Donna Hare, I believe. Was that her that supposedly worked with Werner von Braun? Said that he told her that the final thing would be a fake alien invasion, and a lot of that Project Blue Book stuff traces back to that statement with I may have the name wrong with Donna Hare there. I can't remember the name of the individual, but anyway. So it is interesting that some of this stuff does trace back to a particular source with Uri Geller in particular, and now we're talking alien invasion imminent. And Rohan's right. What does that mean? Is that the mind virus? What does that mean? What's actually going on here? I have no idea. Got a minute left, Rohan. Want to wrap anything up there? Any thoughts you got?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought me back to that point. I love the way it cycles back. That point about, it's aliens, it could be invading, they've got really advanced technology. Like, that's supposed to be scary because they won't be able to stop them. But if that's the case, they've had it for ages. They've had it for a long time, probably millions of years, some of them. So they haven't invaded us yet. So we don't need to worry about an alien invasion beating us up like War of the Worlds, because they could have done that a millennia ago when we were little ants, right? So don't chill out.
Yeah, exactly right. It does seem strange that they would wait until we have nuclear weapons to try and take things over.
Yeah, wait until we can almost challenge them, and then we'll take them on. Is it a sense of fair play or something? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. That sounds like poor strategy, if you ask me. All right. So tonight we're talking about Uri Geller. He's back in the news with all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about him and his CIA connections. Some people think he's a spy. Some people think he's a fraud. Some people think he's a legit psychic. Definitely an interesting dude, and that's what's going on tonight. If you're interested in this conversation and want to be part of it, just give us a call. Pick up the phone, just like Joseph did. Appreciate the phone call, Joseph. And you can talk to myself, talk to Rohan, and give us your thought on Uri Geller. And you can dial the phone at 702. I had a brain zerg there. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And boom. Again, we're here with Rohan talking about crazy stuff, per usual, right? Just another normal Monday night on Troubled Minds, talking about alien invasion and psychic powers, because why the hell not? If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with the mighty Rohan. Don't go anywhere. More Uri Geller, spoon bending, alien invasion, and you when we return. Be right back. talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. Random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So all right. So maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories, or ideas, or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan of the Exiled Minds podcast, and we'd like to say hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night, just a standard Monday night on Troubled Minds, where we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are: aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Again, we're here with the famous Liam Martin of Exiled Minds, and we're talking about Uri Geller tonight. And he came out and said recently quite a lot of things, and in particular, the one that really started us thinking about this guy and who he was in history, maybe his ideas with Project Stargate, how he met the famous Nazi rocket scientist Werner von Braun, was in the periphery part of Project Blue Book and the UFO studies, and again, how he has psychic powers, some sort of mental powers that were supposedly endowed on him by an orb when he was a very young boy. So an orb meaning what? A UFO, an entity, a ghost, what is this thing? I have no idea. If you want to be part of the show tonight, love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy peasy as that. Let's see if we can tune in to the United Kingdom and find our good friend Rohan. Test 1, 2. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Well, hello there. Welcome. Greetings. And by the way, I want to point out that also that mashup, that audio mashup in the beginning there, with Ash talking about the aliens and the optic nerves and all the rest of that, that was done by Rohan here as well. So not only is he a talented, what would you call yourself? A talented channeler of things, let's say. He's also a very, very adept audio wizard, as you could tell. So again, I'd like to point out as often as I can that I appreciate that very much, and I like that sort of secondary intro in the second hour. Very, very good stuff. I appreciate that, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate the massive build-up and the bigger,
you got it, buddy.
Promotion. Thanks.
You got it, buddy. You got it, buddy. So tonight we're talking about Uri Geller, claiming an alien invasion. He claimed about a month ago that he thought the aliens were on the way or coming, and now he says an alien invasion is imminent. Well, what does that mean? And of course, we're just taking phone calls and talking about crazy stuff. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. Let's go to our good friend James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. What's up? You are on Troubled Minds with Mike and Rohan. Go right ahead, sir.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Glad to have you. So have you heard of Uri Geller? Let's start there.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit here and there. So yeah, the thing I kind of that keeps coming to mind is if you look into enough people that have claimed to have psychic powers, or even any other paranormal abilities, you may find that there have been times where they were proven to be misleading or hoaxing, but then you might also find afterwards, in later events or later situations, where actual paranormal stuff will happen around them, even if they were faking before.
Right. So, meaning that, like, this is an inherent thing, is something you can learn. Well, I'm not sure what you mean there.
Well, and or that it part of it has to do with everyone involved. Maybe even getting back to Rohan's point earlier about the positivity. Maybe it takes everyone to believe in what's going on for it to happen in some cases. They have to give up that energy for whatever to happen.
Okay, I see. Take on that, Rohan?
Yeah, I'm glad you've brought that point up, actually, and another one, James, because that's sort of what I was trying to say earlier to Joseph. There's an element to it. It's highlighted a lot in a book called Real Magic by Dean Radin. There's an element to this stuff, right, that we call magic, yeah, where it kind of works for you if you think it will work for you and you do the right stuff. And if you don't, people don't tend to get it. And it's almost like going back to that thing that Einstein said about, if you align yourself with the frequency of the reality you want, you can't help but get that reality. But the same is true for if you don't do that. If you align with negative stuff or thinking it can't happen, then it can't, because you're not allowing it to, because you've got free will. You know what I'm saying? Like another example is, if you think that your high school sweetheart is the only woman for you, and love can only come then through that one lens. And there's a lot of people on the planet that you could be with, and you're really narrowing down your options by forcing the universe to put it all through that one lens. Do you know what I mean? Which is why I say fire and forget with stuff, with creativity and things, because, the more open you are to things, I think the more opportunities you get, sort of thing.
Yeah, and also, I'm just thinking now about that video that in the chat of Uri Geller on the Johnny Carson show. I mean, that's a lot of people there. And if you were, I wonder if you were to poll, or survey all those people that were there, and ask them, did you expect that to happen? Did you expect the spoons to bend? What numbers would you get?
That's a great, in fact, an absolutely brilliant and very important point you've made there, James, because, if there's enough people there kind of willing it not to happen or expecting it not to, we're talking frequencies, aren't there? Maybe they can override him. Maybe he's been out, got drunk the night before, and he's not feeling too hot. Maybe he's not been meditating for weeks or whatever. Maybe he can't do it because you have to keep practicing, like going to the gym, you have to keep rehearsing, you're singing to stay good at it. So maybe there is an element to that. And in fact, there is a tiny bit of scientific data to back it up, in that there was once an experiment where they had the baby chickens that get hatched in front of a robot that's designed to move around in a pen randomly. And the chickens are it seems, are willing the robot to move in front of the chicken pen more often than going other places. But when they tried it with humans, it was more kind of like 50-50. So they were saying, well, yeah, but humans, it was then explained that humans they're not in a desperate situation. They don't need that robot to come and move in order to get fed and stay alive. So the chickens would have been, A, more desperate, and B, they wouldn't have had these limiting, negative thought patterns that we've got. So we're more advanced in terms of being able to think and process stuff and consciousness, but we can be negative with that as well, which holds us back,
Yeah, and I mean, you even hear that with some people that say, I'd like to have a paranormal experience, but it hasn't happened yet, And sometimes I wonder if, in some cases, obviously not all, I never like to make any generalizations, but if they're actually, by maybe not believing or not being open-minded to it, it's not going to happen as easily.
Yeah, so sort of like you can sort of stamp out the energy around you with your negativity, right? I wonder. And it is a good point about the Johnny Carson show and how Uri Geller couldn't bend the spoons. I wonder if that, how you're describing, maybe the audience there was somehow maybe blocking that. I don't know. Again, like I said, there are some people that truly believe Uri Geller can do all the things that he says he can do. But then, like I said, there's the whole other contingent that says that he's just a giant fraud and everything he's done is a hoax his whole life. But I don't know. Back to what Night Stalker said there, the CIA believed it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and even if there's a mix of those two, even if there's some stuff that maybe was hoaxed, or but there's some stuff that wasn't. Do you throw out everything? I don't think that's a good idea to do either.
Yeah, you can't. That's not the way science works.
That could be why the CIA was still interested. They're like, well, okay, some of this, yeah, it's obviously not, obviously set up, but there's some of this we can't ignore.
Exactly. Take on that, Rohan? That's okay. I got you.
Sorry,
I got you.
On mute.
That's okay. I got you.
Yeah. Well,
go right ahead.
Well, I think for me, when I saw all this stuff, I think it's if I was to answer the question, do I think Uri Geller can do these things? I would say that it's almost like I'm splitting hairs and trying to wriggle out of it. But I would say that I genuinely believe that these things are possible. So he could potentially do them. So I think, unless there's obvious signs of someone being fraudulent, I'm just going to take the word for it, like I will with you guys, because I know that some of this stuff can happen. I can go, yeah, well, why not? As much as like if you tell me, I throw a cricket ball in the air and it fell to the ground after. I've seen it a lot of times, so I think, yeah, that probably did happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's more a case of like we need to. I mean, like on the other hand, James made another good point where we was talking about orbs earlier. We can be mistaken about stuff, and there are orbs in terms of photography where you get these artifacts that are found in there, especially with compact cameras because of the flash being pretty close to the lens and it's a narrow angle, and so it highlights artifacts and you get these backscatter orb things. So some of them are just, artifacts. You know what I'm saying? So I think we have to balance these things out, don't we? Use our own determination, and importantly, trust our determination. Trust our conclusions in ourselves, and then it's, I think of it more like stand on your own truth when you know to be real. The immediate presence of your own photo experience is the closest you're ever going to get to a truth. So I'd say stick with that. Trust your compass, And that's why you're going to try and stay calm and chilled and be nice to people, because then your emotional guidance system should be pretty accurate,
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing about orbs is that they are so divisive in the whole paranormal community. But if you look at it, again, it's excuse me, it's you have to take all those things into consideration. Know that in some cases, yes, they're probably optical illusions because of camera conditions or whatever, like Rohan just explained. But then if you think about it, we still don't know what orbs are, if they are spirits or beings, or if they are aliens, to use the word. We have no idea, because most of the time they just appear as lights.
Yeah, and a lot of them do artifacts stay in one place, or they might change angle a bit and kind of, whatever, if the light's moving down a line or something, it's been highlighted. But but you get orbs in video that move around. You know what I'm saying? They're changing direction and changing speeds and stuff, and they seem to be almost, sometimes they're interested in objects nearby. You know what I'm saying? So they're more difficult to explain, sort of thing. And there's a really great example, actually, of this stuff with both, the backscatter and apparently seeing things, both in one video footage with NASA, with the shuttle mission STS-75, where they had the experiment to trail a tether down a shuttle to try and see if they can draw electrical power off the magnetosphere. And it turned out to be too big a charge and kind of fried it. But when they lay the tether out, which is a couple of miles long, you are seeing kind of backscatter effect a bit, but then you're also seeing other stuff, and they say, it's just particles, bits of ice, whatever. But some of these things are like pulsating discs or little orbs, and they seem to be, gathering, coagulating around this kind of long tether thing. and some of them look to apparently are a mile or so in diameter, because they're going in behind the tether and in front of it, so you can gauge the distance, knowing this thing's, you know, so many miles long. So it's like, it's almost like, if you watch that, look it up, you see on YouTube, NASA STS-75, and it almost looks like when you get submersibles going in the deep sea, and you see bits of debris, but you also see bits of life coming near the light and stuff, or swimming away from it. So it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, maybe it's some kind of consciousness that we don't know yet. We can't identify yet.
Exactly right, and that's why we talk about this stuff, because it all kind of blends together. That whole UFO thing, like we talk about Dr. Stephen Greer being able to summon these things, and he calls them UFOs or whatever. But what the hell is he actually summoning? that's a whole nother weird one that we've talked about quite a lot as well. James, I gotta say, my man, I have to say, you are getting very comfortable and very good talking on podcast, my friend. Very, very
well,
nice.
You know, when you do it so much, I guess eventually it does. You start to get used to it.
You know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you, James?
Something about practice.
Practice. You were fantastic, my friend. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. You can check him out. Links in the description down below. And he does paranormal stuff 5 nights a week. Go say hi to James. He's a good dude. He's a good friend of mine and a good friend of the show. I appreciate it. Always great stuff. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks a lot. All right. Easy as that, right? You can give us a call. We're still talking about Uri Geller, and we're going to get back to his story in just a sec here, because it gets more fascinating after he had that UFO incident that gave him these mysterious powers, right? And we'll get to that in just a sec. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're here with our good friend, the famous Liam Martin, the mighty Rohan of the Exiled Minds podcast, and you can actually follow him as well. The link in the description down below, and there you go. Easy as that. So what else do we know about Uri Geller? Here we go. There's some more. So we heard this actual he got kind of zapped by an orb when he was very young, and when he came to, he says that he had some sort of these powers, mental powers, right? And there it is. Of course, my webcam takes a dump. So anyway, in 1971, during a hypnosis session, he came out with new details regarding this incident. He recalled that a faceless figure emerged out of a large shining craft holding a bright object. It lit so brightly that Geller passed out. He also served as a paratrooper in Israeli Defense Forces, but after getting wounded during the battle for Jerusalem, he decided to become a model. There we go. Now you're talking. Geller got fame after he showed his spoon-bending abilities to photographers. He was invited to prestigious house parties that included government officials, generals, etc. Now this is where it starts to get pretty crazy. One day he went to a party where he met former Israel Prime Minister Golda Meir, M-E-I-R. He showed his abilities to her by drawing exactly what she drew in the bathroom. After that, his life changed as he started getting popular. That time, he was the most popular man after Mir. Interesting. There you go. There's him reading minds, right? Let's see. Here's another one. Let's see. Anything on that, Rohan? As we're just kind of talking about this Uri Geller character. Does he have superpowers, or is this just a big fraud situation? Any take on that?
Yeah, you can train it. I say most people can do it to some degree. Just how good you can get at it. And if that's a guy that's ended up prominent, it's probably a guy that's either practiced a lot or been invested in a lot, or like say you're a little bit ahead because some UFO ball hit you and gave you a little helping hand. But like I say, one way or another, it's doable.
Yeah, well, and then again, back to the fact that the CIA was actually interested in this. So here it starts to get even more wild. His popularity drew the attention of the U.S. government. He played an important role in the CIA investigation into ESP and psychokinesis. In one experiment for the CIA, Geller was isolated in a room to draw the same picture that had been drawn by another person in another room. He drew a picture of a square with diagonals. In 2017, the CIA released some 12 million pages of records revealing details about Project Stargate, which is exactly what he was part of there. One of Geller's least known claims is about working with NASA. He got acquainted with Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, and later the two became friends. He was then asked by Mitchell to become a legendary German-born He was asked by Mitchell to meet a legendary German-born American aerospace engineer, Werner von Braun. And this is where the plot thickens, right? Like, Werner von Braun. That individual. Anything to say about any of that, Rohan, before? We got about maybe 2.5 minutes before we take a break here. But wild that the CIA started, kind of believing in this, huh?
Let's say on the surface of it, only surface deep. It's like I say, it seems like crazy talk, tinfoil hat stuff, right? But only a tiny bit of scratching beneath the surface. We see agencies and people with the resources to study this stuff properly have indeed done so. Okay, so there's clearly an interest in it. So then, just that one point, the fact that it gets laughed at and poo-pooed is an insult. Because we can see clearly tons and tons of examples where governments are saying on the one hand in public, haha, it's all silly, and on the other hand spending loads of taxpayers' money studying it. So either way, they need either calling up for negligence with the spending or, do you know what I'm saying? It's that two faces. You know what I mean? So it's that game. But it's a gatekeeper thing. It's all a gatekeeper thing. It's why you have to do it for yourself. So you have to look for yourself all the time. And I think that's part of the mindset of the oligarchs as well. It's like a bit of a game, and you've got to look and use your free will. Like I've often said, in this country, in the UK, there's been no laws to say that anybody's got to wear a mask, and then there's several exemptions, and anybody can claim them, and nobody has to prove their exemption. So technically, nobody ever had to wear one, but many people thought they did. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's just saying that there's actual no law. Do you know what I mean? So it just shows it's interesting that it still happens anyway.
And he's still again one of the still famous. I mean, we're talking about years and years and years ago. And do you really think now a couple of questions regarding this? Do you really think Uri Geller could have been, like, just think of it in terms of this, like such an adept illusionist that he fooled heads of state with parlor tricks enough that they invited him to be part of top secret experiments projects?
Exactly. I don't think so. There's no way. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. And there's going to be some screw ups here and there, but it's not. It's because I think it's like anything else. Just like the athletes, you have to practice for many years to get really good.
And that's what apparently Uri Geller was doing. So we're still talking about this. Sorry about that, Rohan. You guys had echo. Remind me and I'll turn that off. I turned it on so you can hear the music, but my bad. So if you want to be part of the show, we're talking about Uri Geller tonight. And do you think it's possible to bend spoons with your mind? We're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan of Exiled Minds podcast. And give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Uri Geller, spoon bending, Project Stargate, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight with our good friend, the mighty Rohan of the Exiled Minds podcast. And we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss this individual by the name of Uri Geller, the infamous spoon bender of Project Stargate, CIA, met Werner von Braun, and all kinds of crazy stuff, this guy. And he has said recently there's an alien invasion imminent. What do you believe? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. You can talk to myself. You can talk to Rohan. And you never know. You absolutely never know who might be listening out there. Welcome back, Rohan. Are you there? Test 1, 2.
Well, mostly here.
That's fine. Hey, are you remote viewing in from wherever you're actually at?
Oh, not yet. Not yet.
Not quite yet?
I'm going to skip that start and go straight to the astral projection.
All right, straight to the astral projection.
I'm behind you, bro. Yeah, Mike. Disappeared.
Right. All right. Perfect. I'll look over my shoulder. I got a camera behind me, so if you pop up behind me, man, and I turn around and punch, I'm sorry. You got to warn me first.
Literal eyes in the back of your head. You're like special forces, aren't you?
Exactly. Don't. Yeah. I always say that I got like the octopus arms. I got 8 arms because to do a real radio show, everybody has to have the board operator and the call screeners and all the rest. No, it's just me, just pressing all the buttons all the time.
You know what? That's it. That was where Google Glasses could come in really handy. You'd be able to do that, wouldn't you, with them? That'd be crazy.
Be able to eyes in the back of your head. Yeah, exactly. Put a little camera on the back of my hat, and you'd never know it. Just be like ninja style and turn around and karate chop you in the neck. Yeah, definitely. So what's up? Shout out to Crab Apple out there. Thanks for sending a tip on Rockfin. Appreciate that very much. Okay, so the thing is this, right? We're talking about this Uri Geller character, all right, and he's again, he worked with the CIA, Project Stargate, and he's one of probably the world's most notable psychics, right? I mean, can you think of anybody more famous or infamous than Uri Geller, Rohan?
Well, contemporaneously, no, he's the guy, isn't he? When it comes to that stuff, he's I suppose he's the designated real magician, We got like your Copperfields and your David Blaines and stuff, and he's the guy that he can maybe really do stuff, and he's had a few decades to sort of build a name, hasn't it? Like I say, at a good time when it was people finding out this stuff's real, because they were talking about all this ESP stuff in the 50s with prominent figures like Carl Rogers, father of person-centered talking therapy. It was the scholars were talking about this stuff in the 50s, and I think personally, what happened is from the 50s to the 70s, started to figure out there might be something to it, so pumped the money in to find out once and for all. And in the 70s, famously, as we mentioned, they found out with the remote viewing studies that actually, damn it, you can do stuff with this. You can get intel. That's the thing. So, and then there's no limit. Time and space, borders, you could just go anywhere. Like I said before with the Robert Monroe thing, when he was, accidentally ended up doing this astral projection stuff, and he's tried to visit Canada, and he's got astral bodyguards. No, sorry, not today. You need an appointment, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm split on this because I do believe all kinds of things are possible, right? And remote viewing and some of this stuff. But I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not sold on this particular guy. But again, like you said, you over there, and he's okay. So he's Israeli, right? He was in the Israeli Special Forces, and so maybe you got a little more exposure to him. I don't know. Like, I don't remember anything about this guy really, like in maybe American media. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I just don't seem to have a lot. I don't remember anything about him other than, you kind of read him popping up from time to time saying something wild like this. He's got another claim too, by the way. Check this out as I want to add this in. Here we go. This is from pranksters.com. Check this out. It says, classic hoaxes. Uri Geller, the greatest prankster of all time. There's an interesting take on that. There is more. Let's see. He had the quote from Werner von Braun. What else do we have? Looking here from you guys if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org and we'll put you on the show. Let's see. There's more here. Tons of stuff that Night Stalker sent me. Pretty good stuff. Let me find this one I'm looking for. Let's see. Apparently, okay. So he's got a connection to the 9, right? We've talked about the 9 as sort of that alien whatever that is, right? The Alien Council, right? The Council of Nine. You heard of these guys, right, Rohan?
Yeah, the Council of the Galactic Federation is that in there?
Yeah, or what? Exactly. They're called by many names, but yeah,
different things. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild stuff. So there's a book here called The Nine, and Night Stalker sent that in. We'll let him talk about it in a second. He says he's going to call in. Where is this thing? So apparently also, here it is. Here it is. No, Uri Geller was a spy for the CIA. No, not that. I can't find it. Anyway, I had a link here that he was claimed. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. All right. This is from Jason Colavito, and again, he's sort of a poopy pants skeptic. That's what I like to call him because he super is. And but anyway, he's got this on his blog. Uri Geller claims to have divined the location of the Ark of the Covenant, and this is a tweet directly from Uri Geller himself. It says, "I know where the Ark of the Covenant is. I will find it. Mark my words. It will be an earth-shattering historical tsunami and an archaeological and theological earthquake. Dowsing ancient soap factory I located under my museum gave me the inspiration." There you go. There you go. And I don't know, man. Aliens and the Ark of the Covenant. Oh boy, it starts to make my tinfoil tingle. What about you, Rohan?
Yeah, I want to throw some religious figures in there. Why not? Hey, get them on in there.
Hey, if you're going to tell a story, tell it right. Definitely tell it right. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, again, this is what I mean. Like, kind of, I don't know if I'm going to call him Tom DeLonge level, but Tom DeLonge likes to hype a lot of things as well, right? With advanced propulsion techniques that he was raising money for that we never really saw anything from. And, there's a lot of people that say a lot of things. What was it? David Wilcock recently, I think he's talking about making a flying car and things like this. I mean, it's like, at some point, like, you can't just keep saying things. You got to show us some things, right? Like, you got to. Where are the aliens, bro? Where are the aliens?
Yeah, or at least, like I say, wave your maybe juice about a little bit to let people know that you're advertising maybe juice and Troubled Minds, because otherwise you make these like absolutes. We talked about it. You make these predictions, you pick dates or make absolute statements. You usually on a hiding to nothing, aren't you? You usually end up backtracking because we don't know. Nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? But we can speculate, and I think, but at the same time, I think the hype in it has developed naturally as part and parcel of it, and I think at least a little bit of hype is actually necessary, because it's like, I suppose we've got, like, let's say, two pressures working against each other, letting stuff get out and not letting stuff get out. Inlet and outlet valves are in conflict. So I think because we've had so much pressure holding it down for so long, we kind of have to overcook it a bit. We've got to turn the pressure up a little bit higher than normal. We've got to go a little bit hype to overcome the fact that we're so down on it. We've been oppressed for so long. We've had so much truth hidden. And that then ties back into that sort of special secret ingredient of making magic work or manifesting what you want, or having your dream goal board and working towards it and keep visualizing it. I think that's like the key, as far as I'm concerned. It seems to be the key, that you've got to be able to, because you're taking charge of your thoughts then, aren't you, and making that vision like you often do it, Michael. That's why to me it's with the greatest respect possible, it's almost laughable to me when we talk about magic, because I kind of feel like I watch you do it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes it's context and in the way you define things as well.
Like, you're saying I'm like a level 2 magic user from D&D or something?
Yeah, you're I think you're just so used to doing it. Because let's say tie it back into that motivational stuff and that positive belief and making stuff happen, because you know where you're getting to, because you know how to do it, and you've gone and found out how to do stuff and figured out what the mistakes are, ironed out the creases, and now you know how to do it. You know you're going to do it, so so you've already wrote your future that you want to have, and the only thing that's going to change it is if you change what you want. Do you know what I'm saying? And then people would say that's laser focus or someone being self-determined. Well, I suppose it is, isn't it? Self-determination. But I think it's how strong you can make that carrier wave, is how big you're building up your magical charge, in a way. That's where you're tapping into the force, which ties back into what one of the commenters said in the chat. What's cloud bursting? Well, that's a Kate Bush song. It's about orgonite. Those little orgonite pyramids. We can build up this charge, right? And there's a video of it where they've made this machine, and it's Donald Sutherland in the video, and he looks a bit like Einstein. And that's really a trope of Wilhelm Reich when he made his argon generator cloudbusters and made it rain in the desert. And that was using studies from studying orgasms. Do you know what I'm saying? So all these things really tie in intimately into you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
You're the engine, the secret cog that makes the universe kind of work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Really, we're like gods.
I got you. All right. So I just got promoted, and I enjoy it very much. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay.
But I get you. I understand what you're saying, and other people have said that, and it's not. Again, I don't know. I don't like. It's one of those things. Like, I don't like considering it because I think it's. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Because we have another special guest here. We're here. We're talking with the mighty Rohan here of the Exiled Minds podcast. Give him a follow. He's got some amazing work going on over there, and. A little birdie told me he's going to be active again on his podcast real soon. So check it out. Give him some love. Give him some downloads. Listen to the amazing things he says. And as you can tell, he's saying more amazing things tonight. If you want to be part of the show, we're taking your phone calls, talking about this Uri Geller fellow. What do you think about him? His CIA connections, his psychic powers. Can he really bend spoons with his mind? Who knows what the hell's going on with this? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts. The Night Stalker. What's up, brother? You're welcome. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Rohan. Go right ahead, sir.
Coming on, you guys. Great show tonight.
Thank you very much.
Great job, Rohan.
Thank you. This one's inspired by you, by the way. Send me that late night message. So,
I saw you talking about it in the chat, so I'm like, oh, let's talk Yuri. I just wanted to encourage you to do a Yuri show. You know,
yeah,
cool
definitely.
stuff, cool maybe juice.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you know about this guy? Do you think he's legit, the real deal, somewhere in between?
It's a complicated question, you know. Like, I think it's not that binary, like whether he's like hoax or actual have magical powers or not. Like, I think, yeah, he's probably a psychic. He can probably do some of these crazy things. I can see there being a mechanism baked into not being able to bend spoons on television. Like, I don't blame him for that per se, if he is tapping into some kind of thing. But I'm very interested in like the synchro-mystic stuff, and I follow a lot like Chris Knowles and a lot of these different researchers who kind of track these different possible agendas in the zeitgeist and that type of stuff, and what these like elites are actually trying to do, and like these different synchronicities, like that kind of interwoven between these different narratives and stuff. So, and the Secret Sun people, the Chris Knowles people specifically, they love to go after Uri Geller. Like, they think he's like kind of BS, but more so they think he's like just part of this weird MK Ultra, CIA mind control, entity contact mashup of stuff. That like what they're doing is real. Maybe like what they're telling us isn't what they're actually doing, but the whole point of it is that the psychic abilities and stuff is a way to come into contact with entities, like whether they're aliens or ultra-terrestrials or what they are. But that's kind of what they're trying to do, and I think he might be part of that, you know. And I like that rabbit hole, like the idea that he was given these powers by some kind of orb when he's like a little kid, and then gets wrapped up in all this, in like fame and like rubbing elbows with celebrities and high-powered political figures. This gets my conspiracy mind like really going, you know. And then comes in all the MK Ultra stuff and everything.
Yeah, and he was again. We were talking a little bit last night about this offline, and you said no, I don't trust him because why though? He's got a lot of strange connections to a lot of strange people as well, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, when I say I don't trust him, he might be 100% honest. Like everything, that's where it gets tricky with the MK Ultra stuff. Is like everything that they say, they might 100% believe. It's like when people talk about. When you get into the real mucky muck of like the NASA stuff and like the astronauts, the idea that no, they believe they went somewhere, but they looked all dazed after they came back because they were on some kind of like LSD mind control trip and they got told they went to space and they actually didn't, or something like that, where like with the MK Ultra stuff, with this trauma-based mind control, that I don't know, it's like with the celebrities, they might not be on purpose trying to guide humanity into bad places, but because of this like trauma-based control, they're used as vehicles to like move forward a narrative, you know? So do I believe he has psychic powers? Yes. I don't believe he's a hoax in that way, but I don't trust the celebrity of him, you know? And like you guys are talking about, or like Rohan, you're talking about like your first experience with him and like him being on the radio and kind of getting into the minds of people via the radio, you know? And that's kind of what I see him as, maybe the most famous kind of psychic like this famous psychic spy, this kind of figurehead for this, injecting this idea, this spoon bending idea that then got put into the Matrix and stuff, that he had, like, maybe that's his goal. Maybe that's what the CIA is really using. They're less interested in bending metal utensils and more so injecting memes into the zeitgeist, like aliens are about to invade. Get ready for it, you know?
Take on that, Rohan?
Yeah, I think that's an important point as well, because I think that's on one level would be exactly correct. I would say that that's definitely going to happen as part of the mandate of what these agencies are designed for, right? They're supposed to do these things and see where they'll go. And if it turns out that the reality of life on Earth is so many steps, levels bigger than what we thought, because maybe we've got to deal with the reality of, let's say, I don't know, let's say chupacabras, Bigfoot and fairies are all real, giants too, and whatever, and a few of them things that were supposed to be woo-woo are real, because some of them are going to be. So let's say these 6 crazy things all turn out to be real, then that stacked up might be too much. Literally, it's not about, War of the Worlds or aliens going to come. That's too simple. Aliens going to come and beat us up with advanced technology. No. Because it would have happened, right? I think maybe what it is that there's so many weird things that it probably takes time to prepare you, in much the same way as doing training, or much the same way as like the Tower of Babel, or since you mentioned the Ark of the Covenant, in much the same way as that. Because when people stole the Ark, they ended up getting what was described similar to radiation sickness. And they brought that thing back and said, we don't want it. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's something. Well, what do you think?
It's with, like, what if we realize that all these different phenomena are like more connected than we even think so? Like more so than they're just coming out of portals and stuff. They're all like some weird metaphysical thing. What if they're just Jacques Vallée style, like the puppet hand injecting itself into this reality? It's just the same phenomena, the same trickster thing, taking different shape, and the shape is predicated on what human consciousness is projecting it as. So to then use somebody whose power is to like get inside, like a mentalist, a famous, and then to like popularize them, and to like then popularize the idea of psychic abilities and get the culture ready for like the power of the mind, to then bring on 2022, where you have Demi Lovato summoning UFOs and stuff. Like I said in the chat earlier, but is it an invasion if they're invited? Like, what are we summoning? What are they summoning? What are we bringing in? Like, I don't know. Does he mean aliens from space? Because he's talking all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't know if you want to get into the Council of Nine stuff, Mike.
Yeah. What can you brief us on that real quick? How is he involved in that?
So I'm not an expert on the Council of Nine, but it's this like group of supposed extraterrestrials, supposedly from Sirius, but come into contact with humans via like channeling and stuff. So back like in the late 40s, like early 50s, this woman, doctor, after World War II, I'm just going to read from this excerpt here that I sent you earlier.
Sure.
I don't know how to pronounce her name. If I heard it, it would ring a bell. But after World War II, Dr. Andrea Purich emerged as the Army's foremost expert on magic mushrooms, seances, and all things occult. Purich championed an Israeli magician named Uri Geller as the world's foremost psychic. Reportedly, Geller's psychic abilities had been taught to him by aliens. Before LSD became the CIA's mind drug of choice, Purich had been investigating whether magic mushrooms might serve as the same function. Purich had been having secret meetings with high-ranking officers from the Pentagon, CIA, Office of Naval Intelligence at Fort Derrick, the heart of MK-Ultra, the CIA's most closely guarded secret. Purich has also been organizing seances for the super rich. Most of this remains classified and files sealed forever, just disappeared like most of MK-Ultra. So to me, the seance thing is the most interesting part to me. So like after World War II in like the late 40s, early 50s, there was a seance in Maine. It was like this woman, this doctor, an army general, one of the DuPonts at the time, and a couple other elites, and they were doing the seance to contact these entities, and these entities presented themselves as the Council of Nine. And this is the thing that like Gene Roddenberry got Star Trek, like the guy who invented Epsilon, like the founder of Epsilon was there, and that's the guy who was like one of Roddenberry's mentors and gave him the information which later became Star Trek. So we talk about our entities giving us ideas to move culture forward. We talk about it in technology terms a lot, but just the ideas are like is almost as interesting, if not more so. So like everything a big chunk of what we think about is like the Galactic Federation or UFOs or aliens is from Star Trek, and that information also comes from the Council of Nine. And this serious thing, that's Greer serious. So the guy who is summoning UFOs and teaching celebrities how to summon UFOs and all this kind of stuff. It's like as a culture, they're prepping us to like bring something in, call something forward, and I don't know. It brings a lot of we're running out of time, I know, but it brings a lot of weirdness and maybe juice. And I can hang over if you want to the next hour if you want to. Get deeper into this if you want.
Okay, sweet. We got MJ on the phone as well, so we'll go to him at the top of the hour.
Yeah, we'll go to him first, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so hang tight, guys. So we're here with the mighty Rohan, and thank you again to Rohan for spending your time with us tonight and being part of this show. Thanks for knowing a lot more about Uri Geller than I do, because like I said, it seems strange to me that we didn't get a lot of his coverage over here in the States, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. It's very possible that I was a knucklehead, but you want to tease what's coming up with your podcast or any projects you're working on, my friend?
You could call me off balance there, but yeah, start back up soon. Taking a little break in that, but I'm hoping to get you on, Mike, because I think I've done 9 episodes, so I might get you on for the next restart, like it's in that double figures, isn't it?
You got it. You got it. Book it. Yeah. I'm ready. You know me. I'm ready. Let's set it up, because 100% I'm in. I appreciate you asking me, and I appreciate you being here with us tonight. This is the mighty Rohan, and please give him a follow. He's got a podcast called Exiled Minds, and you heard it here first. Michael Strange is going to be on there for episode number 10. You're the best, Rohan. Thank you, Derek, for helping us with this and inspiring this show last night. Thanks to everybody for listening and being part of this conversation and all the rest of these conversations, because without you, these conversations do not happen. Thanks again for all of this, and as we finish, it goes a little something like this. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds, and be sure, be strong, be true. I see you, MJ, coming straight to you as soon as we get off of the radio here, and thank you for listening, guys. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right, easy as that. Thanks for holding over there, Derek, and thanks Rohan for being here with us tonight. We're going to keep on trucking. We're going to keep doing this. We got MJ's been waiting on the phone for just a little while here. Appreciate you being patient. Let's cut the break and come back to this right after we go to MJ. MJ, you are on Troubled Minds with Mike, Derek, and Rohan. Go right ahead, my friend. How are you tonight?
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Doing very well. Living the dream, talking about crazy shit on a Monday night. Just another Monday night at Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. You mentioned something. It looks like it says MJ Alien Invasion in the call notes there. But go right ahead. If you have a take on this, on Uri Geller explaining this alien invasion thing, what do you think?
Kind of, yeah, because that's what I got told today.
Okay, told by?
Like an invasion. See, what people don't realize, it's when you get into the abductions, and it's a serious thing going on for a long time. I woke up this morning, I checked my arm again. I have a major scoop taken out of my arm. It wasn't there. 2 nights ago, or 2 days ago, I checked the inside of my right thigh because it was itching, and I looked at it, and I had 2 different lines, 3 dots in a perfect row, about a little less than 2 inches long, in 2 different areas. Okay, when you start seeing stuff like that on your body, you've been abducted. Something was done. And about 4 nights ago, 2 nights in a row, I've never had violent dreams at all, ever. I've never been attacked, nothing like that. I've never been, mine were more educational, spiritual, learning kind of thing. I've had 2 dreams back to back that I was being attacked. And one was out in front of my house in a dream on the road that I live off of, in front of my house, being attacked. And I have a spirit board, so take everything I say with a major grain of salt, because I do. And, I went on and I said, who was that? And it said it was the Greys. So I go into a little bit deeper, kind of like meditation, and I will contact them and said, I want to talk to them directly. Okay. And the energy and the way the pendulum moves, it all changes. It's just a much more cold, calculated feeling of energy. And basically what they were telling me was that they're planning an invasion, the Greys, but, and they're supposed to come in. And I said, is this going to be like, like you've been doing before, like quietly coming in and abducting people? And they said, no, it's going to be open. You will know that it's going on. People will know. And not everybody's going to buy into it, but the people it's happening to, they will know exactly what's going on. Now, I've been told for several years that I'm carrying information that could rearrange this. It's not an ego thing. And it's like I said, take what I say with a major grain of salt. But I have information from birth that could rearrange what happens. And like I said, I don't even know if it's true or not. I keep getting told this. I get the same information over and over again, and this is through the board. And back in 1993, I had an incident, which I've talked to you on your show about, with those 2 people that came into that bookstore, and that woman was doing something to the back of my head. And I could never figure out for the longest time what that was about. And I was just told recently she was trying to get that information. Now, the information, I was told tonight, could destroy the Greys, because they're more of a Borg-like beings or collective. And if you take out the main hub, you take them all out.
Okay, that sounds familiar in many ways there. So you do think it is coming then? You think so? So do you think that this Uri Geller guy, you've heard of him, right?
No, I've never heard of him.
Okay. So, but it seems like maybe he's tuning into the same energy possibly that you are, because he literally just came out just a couple days ago and said something similar, not identical, but similar.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting this stuff, and I've never been afraid in my dreams. The second dream I had, where they literally, it was kind of a weird thing, but I was driving like a vehicle, like a school bus, and I parked it on the side of the road next to my house, but I backed it up to my mailbox, and I looked up on the bank that was on my yard, and I saw this guy standing there, and I realized he's got really big black eyes. And I was in a school bus, so I started, and I just pulled off, but I didn't start it like an engine. I just kind of moved it forward with my mind, or, like an accelerator with your foot or something. And I got out of there, and he was pointing something. I thought he had a gun. And I got like, he's got a gun, I just go. And it was something round he was pointing at me. Well, now that I remember it, it was more round, like a radar gun, or like, the state police have their radar gun to test your speed you're going. Kind of looked like that in a sense, but it was round. I've never been scared at all. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I ran around my house, turning all my floodlights on the outside of the house, and stayed awake. I could not go back to sleep.
That's pretty wild. So you're sensing some kind of darkness that's maybe imminent here.
I don't like it. I don't, it's like I'm outside and I just don't want to go outside. I'm outside for a little while. It's got to be in the sunlight. If it gets too cloudy, I come in, I keep hearing stuff rustling around on the outside, outside, and it's cold here. We got snow. There's nothing outside running around, but I hear rustling outside. So I don't know. But that's what I got today. And when you guys were talking about it, I thought, oh my God. It's getting the same freaking thing.
Yeah, not us. Uri Geller, this individual. So we're talking about it in terms of what he said, but odd that you're tuned into a similar thing. Pretty wild stuff. So we're talking. Go ahead, Derek.
What's the info that you have that could change the trajectory of this invasion? Do you know yet?
It's like I said. It's like. If I say it, and it probably won't happen, I'm hoping, and it could be totally wrong. It'd be some, bullshit little entity on the board, but this has been going on for a couple of years now. I've been told about it, not just like, a whimsical thing, but it's been a repetitive information coming in. And usually on your spirit boards, you don't get that much repetitive stuff. You just don't. And I've also found out that I'm telekinesis with my pendulum. I can move it any direction I want it to go. I just have to put thought into it, and it'll swing around to whatever I want it to do. So I've kind of been careful about that. But in the beginning, it was talking to grays that were telling me that the information is like a code that I have stored in the back of my head. And then this code basically comes out, and they feed the code in, and somehow it breaks up the grays or destroys them, or stops their whatever they're getting ready to do.
Huh. So the Greys are communicating via spirit board. So are they from space, or are they something else?
They're around very close. They're from space. They're here. They're just like a veil away. It's getting me nervous now.
Yeah.
They're a veil away. But they're around. And see, when I was out in Arizona, it was quite heavy then. I could have 5 dreams a night of stuff going on and remember all 5 of them. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd see geometric shapes on my ceiling as I was waking up. And then I finally wake up and then you see the popcorn ceiling. But before that, I see a geometric shape there. And I've seen geometric shapes. Phoenix they're 4 corner states. It's a hub there. If you want to go have an experience, go to one of the 4 corner states, and you will have all kinds of stuff going on. When I got back on the East Coast, a lot of it settled down. But my feeling is I think once they have a contact with you, they don't lose you. They find you. And that's what keeps happening here. But it seems to be speeding up because I'm getting more marks on my body when I wake up than I've ever had.
Yeah. Wow.
That's pretty well. Yeah, great question there, Derek. Good stuff. So you think maybe something's imminent? Can you do me a favor, MJ? If you get more of this, could you call us back and keep us updated? I appreciate that very much.
If I'm around.
Hey! Of course you're going to be around. Come on. Of course.
I'll be around.
Gotcha. Meaning they might take. Have you had abduction experiences?
Yeah, that's what I've had burns. I wake up and had burns on my right arm. I went to bed without them, and I woke up with burns in my arm. I mean, literal burns. It was kind of weird because they were old, not old scabs, but they were like 3 to 4 days. Anyway, I think about 5 days old. But I went to bed with the burns on the right side of my arm. It was on the back of my arm and underneath my forearm. And there was 3 little tiny ones together in a row, then one on the back of my arm. And when I was sitting there and I woke up, it's like 10 in the morning. I'm getting breakfast. Like, well, I thought it was like 8 in the morning. I realized it's 10 in the morning. I'm having breakfast out on the front porch, and suddenly the back of my right arm starts to sting. So I put my finger back down, feeling around, and I put my finger on the scab. It started to sting. And I pulled it around and looked at it. It was a burn mark.
Yee.
But the scab itself was more like sandpaper. And I was like, okay. And I thought, I'll get some Neosporin and put it on there. I put Neosporin on there. It stung even worse. So I finally got some organic honey. I was on a show, Crow's 777, and the guy was talking about honey. And he said it's very medicinal. I thought, I've got that. I'll look for it. Put it on there, soothed it completely, no more stinging on both parts. But what I noticed was 45 minutes later, usually honey stays sticky for a long time on your body. It's like syrup. On the scab itself, it crystallized and it was hard like plastic. I could take my finger and tap it, and it felt like plastic.
That's weird.
Yeah, definitely. Holy smokes. Yeah. Yeah, man, let me know. I don't know. Again, I don't have any, as you know me, I don't have any inside sources. It's all you guys. So let me know if something escalates here, starts developing. Please give me a call. I want to be the first to know. Better to know than not to know, right? I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for the call.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
MJ, have a great night. That's MJ in Virginia, a longtime friend of the show over there. You can find him on the Fringe Discord as well, and also on ours at troubleminds.org. Click the Discord link. Takes on that, gentlemen. That's pretty wild. MJ's got some interesting experiences that he's had in his life there, and that creeps me out, man. Waking up with something that creeps me out.
This is weird. One day I actually woke up with I don't have any weird experiences in my life, but one morning, on my bicep, I had 5 red dots in a semicircle, in a perfect semicircle, and it didn't hurt or anything, and I could touch them, and it felt like a bump, and it's never happened before or since. Not they didn't seem like they were bug bites, but and that was the only time I ever wondered, I wonder if something happened to me at night, I don't know what that would have been, but it's a weird thing. The phenomena of waking up or people having detectable implants in them, or things that evidence that something happened to them at night, is very trippy to me.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. It takes on that. Rohan, do you think maybe there is a connection here? Maybe him and Uri Geller somehow, or maybe tuning into the same thing?
Well, I suppose. At least we can say it's all part of the same phenomenon, because of course we passed away now, sadly, but we used to have the surgeon, is it Roger Lear, that used to extract people's implants. He used to kind of screen people that used to contact him, make sure it's people and just got a cyst or something, or just deluded. So he'd screen people, and then he'd find stuff, and then he'd take them out, and they got some creepy stories, man. I mean, a couple of times, at least more than once, they had these little grain of sand-sized things, that seems unusual metal that seems to break down unless you put it in plasma, like blood plasma. It starts dissolving, right? So they had to figure out they had to preserve it in blood plasma, as if you're tricking it to think it's still inside a body. Okay. So but it's only doing RF signals, so that's only short range. So that indicates whoever's they've got to be nearby. Do you know what I mean? So it seems unusual. Do you know what I'm saying? But there were some of them that were described. Witness Struve was supposed to have one of these ones, where they were described more a bit like a worm or a bit of a centipede, where we could kind of wiggle a bit and try and move away from you trying to get it out with the little tweezers. And you think, if it's moving in you, as if it's intelligent. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it was Whitley Strieber that had one of them and decided to say just leave it. Could just leave it in because it was struggling, So that's the stuff of nightmares, isn't it? Sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Just to Mike's call, the Greys using the spirit boards, the seances to contact aliens, is just really interesting to me. It's just, what is that about? Is it just any advanced technologies is magic thing, or is it, what are we really dealing with? Are we dealing with things from space? Do aliens use magic? Are they just communicating with Ouija boards like they're walkie-talkies, or are we communicating with something else? Are the Greys the same thing that Crowley contacted with Lamb and brought is an alien invasion the same thing as the portals, the abyss opening up and the hordes of demons coming through? Is that what we're going to get? What are we dealing with here?
And consider this, that today we call it conspiracy theorists, right? Tinfoil hat stuff, tropes written that, but that's had to be programmed into us to think that way.
Yeah. And
you think back to those days, people at the turn of the 20th century, from 1900s and onwards, the people that are the scholarly class and people doing well in the world are detailed orientated people. They wear nice clothes, they're very orderly, they're well spoken, they've got much larger vocabularies than us. Okay, they're intelligent people looking at details. So are they just wasting the time with all this stuff? No, they're exploring like we're trying to do, but they're doing it. And I think what's happened is at some point we started to make these discoveries from 1900 to 1940, 1950. We decided, right, no, we're going to shut this stuff down because this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of them. And I think they've concluded, right, we need an excuse to shut this down. So, you go for the old War of the Worlds scenario. Yeah. The Brookings will say, oh, it's to shut it down. But in reality, these are latest technologies, right, that we've discovered. But it turns out the technology is us. So the technologies, the R&D department's got nothing to do. It's already built. It's already been beta tested. Works really well. So all of a sudden, you've got a next level technology and everybody's got it. No need, you can't sell it. It's already been distributed. We've got registered software and hardware. Everyone's got a copy. Do you know what I mean? So it's next level technology that's come along, which is the sort of biggest game changer you can imagine. So that's the promise of like a sort of golden age. But at the same time, there's this saying that all things can be too good to be true. But in this case, it's not. Do you know what I'm saying? And then if you look back in what does history say, we get this in our religious teachings, don't we? They're telling us this is the case. And now we're getting some scientific evidence saying, well, this seems to be the case. And then some people seem to be exhibiting things that say this is the case. And then some of us think, let's try it. And in our own personal experience, we start to find out that, yes, this seems to be the case. And so I think it's that natural process of gradually eking out this new reality. And like you say, the governments of the world are going to put that into the pop culture to help this process along. And I've just been wondering along the way, while I've been talking about this stuff, perhaps some of these rituals, these magical practices and stuff, perhaps some of that's necessary to counter stuff that's been done to us. If there's like 100 spells being cast on us to make us a prison planet, maybe it takes 1,000 spells to undo it. You know what I mean? There's so many grey areas of stuff. I heard something I found fascinating that in this Buddhism stuff with these initiates, apparently Joseph Stalin was one, and he was more grey, not necessarily super evil, because his intention, he really thought he was doing his best for Russia. What was the best for Russia? But just did the same atrocities as someone like Hitler, who was more pure, just evil. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's so many grey areas, and I think that's why we have to drink that maybe juice in order to be able to look at everything and still keep our wits about us, Yeah.
I mean, and people could have good intentions, and then dealing with these entities could just bring about, like, if they're working on timescales that we can't really calculate, then things that might seem insignificant from our perspective might lead to something more negative. You don't even need to be like a megalomaniacal person trying to talk to demons to make something happen. It could just be getting a technology from somebody and then injecting it into the zeitgeist, into culture, and then having that take some kind of detrimental effect later on down the road. Like it's just like this Faustian bargain thing. Like, what are we dealing with here that's giving us these technologies? Like, are we sure? Like maybe these crafts are us, but are we getting it from somewhere else? Like, and if so, where is it from? Like a craft ship that we're getting? Are we picking up remnants of stuff, or are we getting ideas from seances with like elite people and psychics and the military, and getting blueprints from demons or ultra-terrestrials or something other than what we think it is, And then we're having this, the Council of Nine is responsible for what if you track that Star Trek thing, for what we think about when we think about space aliens and flying saucers and ships and the Disney idea of aliens from space. But other than that narrative taking over, it's much more weird and magical, and the hitchhiker thing, the poltergeist phenomena, the idea that was kind of snuck into that military report about UFOs a couple months ago. The idea that people are coming in contact with this craft, with whatever technology this is, and then coming home with poltergeist activity, and then people coming into contact with them are getting it. It's like a contagious, like paranormal virus that we're getting from technology. So what are we dealing with? And like, then the CIA is involved and all that kind of stuff. So that's where my suspicion is. You know, it's not. Is he a hoax or is he not a hoax? It's like, who is controlling these people and for what reason? And like the narratives and like what are we being made to think and for what reason to bring about what? You know, is he telling us there's an alien invasion? So like I don't know, because he's very good at like injecting memes into our minds and like to bring about an alien invasion, like Tulpa style, like Cthulhu style, like we were talking about the other night. You know, it gets complicated. It gets murky.
Yeah, and you know who was talking about that? I don't know if you caught any of that Coast to Coast last night with the CIA guy.
No, I missed it. Yeah,
I
missed it too. No, I missed it.
But he's sort of one of the guys. Jim Simovan, if you guys don't know, he was on Coast to Coast last night with George Knapp, and I only caught just a little bit of it. But he was saying that, or he actually believes he founded one of the founders of. To the Stars Academy was Tom DeLonge and that whole bit, and he's in with the Bledsoes, Ryan Bledsoe, and these entities that they see, things like this. Once again, right, sort of spirits, but also orbs, but both like sort of full body apparition type stuff, but then also orbs in the sky. I mean, and he's all in on this. He said he had like an abduction experience himself, and he didn't want to let too much information out because he said he was still under study, like some sort of investigation. Yeah, this is a CIA guy. And so it's like once again, like you said, so what's happening here? Are we being played by that angle, or are the CIA being played by some cosmic angle? I mean, what the hell's really going on here?
Big picture. I feel like I always bring this up and like I'm beating a dead horse, but it feels like as a culture we're being conditioned to summon something that like the vampire needs to be invited in. That we're as a society inviting something in. It's like that Oreo promotion they had with the UFO offering or whatever. That is like what you do to fairies and elves and whoever you leave out offerings and stuff. And it's this deal with non-physical entities, these ultra-terrestrials. And it feels like as a culture, that's what we're doing. We're summoning something. We're bringing I don't know, something. So we're bringing something in. And like, I hate, like, it sounds like I'm talking about like aliens and demons, and it's just like sounds like a nonsense like Christian perspective, but that's not what I'm saying. I said like whatever entity is like we don't have the terms for it, but it's like murkier than it's like more complicated than what we think it is. Like speaking of Tom DeLonge and stuff, like there's a chapter in his book where he talks about blood sacrifices to contact these entities. Like it's in his book. That's in the book. Like a whole chapter. Peter Levenda wrote it with him. And Peter Levenda is currently writing a book about Kenneth Grant, Cthulhu, and the Typhon Orders. Like it's all
of course he is.
Yeah. It's all in the pot, you know? And I'd like to go back to the council, like to that woman, that doctor. This is a quote from urigeller.com, talking about how he had that original contact when he was 3 to give himself the powers, and then he had like other sightings and stuff throughout his life, but it like way amplified when he met this doctor when he's like 25, I guess. And here's a quote from his own website. One day when Uri was in a deep hypnotic trance, the quote voice spoke through him and delivered the following message. Quote, "It was us who found Uri in the garden when he was 3. He is our helper sent to help man. We have programmed him in the garden for many years to come, and he was also programmed not to remember. On this day, his work begins. Andrea, you are to take care of him." Which makes it sound like he's like, I don't know, being used by entities, you know? I don't know, sent to help man, he's been programmed in the garden sent to help man. Help man what? Get ready for our coming presence? Like, get ready for, like, what do you think, Rohan?
I think that is all part and parcel of how this stuff works, you know, because I think that, like I say, the summonings of technology, it's all part of this, like, what we call magic thing. I think that's, like I say, it's next level stuff. I always go back to that episode of Joe Rogan where Alex Jones is on, and it's like the return of Alex Jones, and it's all big, comeback sort of thing, and he's doing that bit where he has a bit of a rant about CERN, saying they're using psychedelics, deep meditation, the latest technologies, medically induced near-death experiences to get to the in-between places, so they can make deals and ask for information.
Exactly right. Intel. Yeah, that's what that quote about this lady was. Like, she was interested, like, that before LSD they were using mushrooms and stuff, like, to the CIA to induce this state, to like do what you're talking about, to come into contact with these entities, to have these Faustian bargains, like, yeah, exactly. Sorry,
and you asked a really important, I thought it was a really important and kind of scary question, that if they're are the invaders, if they've been invited, can you still consider them to be invaders? And if they've been invited, then the answer would be no, they're not invaders, are they? But then that's where the rubber meets the road, because it comes down then to contracts. And that's where we can relate it to, like, say, a Christian idea of the devil and demons and making contracts. But really, it's more, if you think of it more in legal terms, legal shenanigans, I think it comes down to that. Operation High Jump ended up making a treater, the graded treater, give us some technology in exchange for whatever, some genetic samples, take some people, right? But we didn't personally sign up for it. So it's like legal shenanigans, like a legality loophole stalling tactic. So one particular faction of one particular government in one particular country cuts a deal with some invaders, so they become not invaders, they become invited here, part of our legal system on Earth.
Exactly.
But at the same time, as individual personages, we didn't personally sign up to the contract and the terms. So it's not valid, so it stalls it all out. And I think it's in the hopes of, like you say, try and get us really negative and sort of just summon negativity, let's say, just that enough, just that on its own, and then we'll kind of give up. It'll make it more difficult, really slow things down. So the likes of the Galactic Federation of Light and the Dominion and the Brotherhood of whatever, all those sorts of people, and the Ashtar commands, they might give up, and it's too big a job, let's just leave these humans and forget it, sort of thing. I think it's more one of them. So it's a game of, like, attrition. Do you know what I'm saying? But so that means then, but the good news is that means that as an individual, every time you don't do the negativity and feed into it and are able to elevate yourself and control yourself and keep your faculties, you're doing your bit. You're fighting the good fight by staying nice. You're fighting that frequency, do you know what I'm saying? So I think that part of the New Age bit is, like, literally true. And I think that's how it works. It's about building a charge. And which flavour is it going to be? Is it going to be feeding this wolf or that wolf? The old adage.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. I'm still creeped out by the fact that gray aliens try and communicate through a spirit board.
I know. That's what I mean.
Yeah, still trying to wrap my mind around that. And then, like you said, that whole seance bit, it's like what the hell's really going on here? It's creepy as hell.
And like Crowley conjured a gray. Like, that's, so what are grays? Like, the idea that there's some type of synthetic intelligence it doesn't resonate with me, like, and I don't think, like, they're like demons from hell or something, but I think I'm not positive if they're from space either, like, I think there's something that we don't understand, and I say ultra-terrestrial, and that's like the closest I think we have to it, but there's something else, and I think their machinations and stuff, their plans for us are maybe too complex or too maybe even nonsensical from our perspective to really wrap our heads around what they're trying to do, and that's kind of what I think synchromysticism is trying to, like, try to, like, read the tea leaves when it's like the zeitgeist and see what is brewing, and like the New Age community aspect of it, like, that's the Council of Nine, like these alien saviors and stuff, these things that are kind of this ascension idea. Like, these New Age people say the word seriously and they spell it like serious, like because of the Council of Nine. Like that's who all these people who are channeling everything, they're talking to these things. So if they're real, or like, I don't know, I don't know, and just whenever it gets mixed up with the elites and like the deep state, like the not the deep state, the military, the security state, gets my suspicion up, and just the MK Ultra connections and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but national security, you got to love it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Here goes a weird guy. I'm taking up too much time, but before he a couple of fun facts about him too. He has a museum where he has John Lennon's egg that he says John Lennon had a couple of UFO encounters, and one of them he was given this like golden egg from the aliens, and that's apparently in John Lennon in Uri Geller's museum. And then last year or over the summer or something, he said that he psychically altered the World Cup to help England in the World Cup. He helped them win, I guess. He's not only bending spoons, but he's bending it like Beckham out there for the World Cup.
Bend it like Beckham. Also, go ahead, Rohan.
I was just saying, well, hey, nice joke.
Derek sent me this as well. This is from the Jerusalem Post, this is an ad for the Jerusalem Post. But on his social media, Uri Geller said on March 29th, 2021, to all my friends and the star readers, we did it. We released the ship. Our well done. Our front page cover story was 100% accurate. This was a mammoth task, but with your mind power and self-belief, we all together freed the ship. Your sheer positive energy also helped the ground crew efforts. Well done to them too. I congratulate you all. I knew we could do it. And of course, he's talking about that ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal, right?
Yeah. So crazy.
That's pretty wild stuff. So again, is this stuff really happening out there? That's the question, right? Yeah. That's the thing tonight. And again, I'm with you. I think it's less important is the guy a fraud or not, because is it real? Is it not? But what else is really going on? I think is probably the greater question here regarding all that. So very well said. What else you got, Derek?
To those like last few things, so like those are the ones that kind of make your eyes roll. Like, what's this guy really doing? Like, does he really think he helped these like that's the Suez Canal thing? But like, how much is it? Is he just trying to like get back in the media and sell books? And does he need a paycheck type of deal? But also, if you take these like metaphysical ideas seriously, then like, what if he is creating some type of collective of people who were like using their mental powers for one unified purpose, and then by giving like these false kind of like boosts, kind of like making people think that they did something, kind of like a placebo effect, like, oh yeah, we did that, like our mental powers freed the ship from the canal and we fixed something. Maybe that in turn actually gives whatever this group is real powers, like you were saying earlier, Rohan, like how in that fake it till you make it idea. So then when he says aliens are coming, this hive mind of people who have their focused attention is thinking, okay, here come the aliens, and then this demonic force is okay, here we are, like, but we're in the shape of aliens, like I don't know, like as far as just an invasion in general, I think it's like two-tiered, that there's the whole like they might do something to bring in a next wave of technology, like the alien saviors, to give us this new tech and like bring on this new age or whatever. But then separately, I think there's the summoning thing, that we're bringing something else in, or like something that maybe is connected to that other thing, but I don't know, is like seems darker and just, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm rambling, but great stuff, you guys.
Yeah, you too. This is a super weird thing too. I want to kind of, this all loops back to the Uri Geller story when he was 3 years old, and the orb found him and zapped him and gave him these superpowers. Right? Check this out. Yeah. So he says we were talking about him meeting Werner von Braun. All right, and so here's this. After he met him, the story goes like this. This is from howandwise.com. Geller was shown a piece of metal at von Braun's office. It was, now listen to this. This is quote that now shown a piece of UFO metal, all right, in Werner von Braun's office. This is the quote. It was breathing, three-dimensional, and a color I had never seen before, but it was metal. I put my hand on it, and I realized right away that it wasn't from this planet. Von Braun said I was right, and that it was from a crashed UFO, he explained. He never found out from where this metal had come from, but I thought that was that one gave me the chills. I was like, "Oh God!" It
was breathing. What does that mean?
Breathing, and a color he had never seen before, but it was metal. Right there. If you don't believe me, it's in the thing.
That's some color out of space Lovecraft stuff right there. Just like, what the hell is that? Like, it was like, I don't know. Like I'm so just on a aliens are weirder than we think mindset. It's kind of like last year or so, that it's just because we see a craft doesn't mean that's what it is. And that's like, I think it's more complicated. And even if we find some kind of crashed craft that they throw at us, I don't think it's beyond their abilities to like manifest that and to like conjure that or whatever it is. I'm not convinced that it's just an advanced ship from space. And that's like, I'd be interested to see what he thinks the invasion will look like. Like, that's what I'm most curious. Like, what form of invasion does he foresee happening? Like, Independence Day style? Or, like, I don't know. Is it going to be some type of alien possession type thing? Like, where, I don't know, we're some kind of incursion of the soul. I don't know.
Wild stuff. Again,
wild stuff.
I appreciate it, Derek. You were the best. You seem like you're getting winded, my friend. You all right? You gonna make it?
I just don't want to ramble too much. It's Rohan's show tonight, so I'll let you guys go. Good. Appreciate it,
Derek. Everybody give the Night Stalker a follow. He's got a YouTube channel, a trailer. Check it out, and links in the description. Derek's the best. Appreciate it very much. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. All right, Rohan, what do you think about that? Now, I wanted to kind of bring that back around, right? So if we're talking in terms of like UFOs as maybe entities, right? And so they're saying that they have this material from a crashed UFO that Uri Geller touched in the office of Werner von Braun, no less. Then we're back to the idea that where we kind of started, that he got zapped by this orb, and almost the first thing you said tonight was that we don't really know if this stuff is like a ship itself, like we try and describe these things as like vehicles like we would use, or if these orbs in the sky are actually like the entities themselves, right? And then has this piece of metal that's breathing. Like, what on God's green earth is going on now?
How about this then? What about this is just speculative? So what you do with science, you're speculating on how that could happen. Okay, so maybe it's a case of then. So we talk about these like next level technologies. So maybe this is like biotech. Okay, so maybe there's things in nature. Well, we know there's things in nature that can sort of do it better than we know how to do it. So maybe I think some grasshoppers have got sort of cogs in the knees, so they can kind of ratchet them back, and then that's how they can do an explosive jump. So get sort of nature tricks. So maybe it's a case of you genetically design a kind of being that's a well-designed craft, and it's alive then. So it's got a big neural network. Its whole body maybe is like a brain, but it's also got kind of different parts of the ship that represent organs in a body. So in order to fix, part of the engine, let's say, maybe that's like reaching in and repairing somebody's lungs. Do you know what I'm saying? To grow an entity, then maybe you can use that kind of psychic energy, using the force, so to speak. Maybe it can amplify it, and then maybe it's a case of these are like pets or like members of the family that you have, an emotional connection with. Do you know what I'm saying? Then you don't need any controls, do you? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a kind of symbiotic thing where you're kind of using that to amplify your own sort of natural psi abilities. So you can just imagine the place you want to go to and sort of manifest it. And perhaps that's why you get shape-shifting craft. Because if it's coming out of one-dimensional space to another, it's like only seeing cross sections of it, so maybe you get funny shapes. Like if you imagine you walking through a really thin wall of light, into another dimension, you're going to get just only your nose is going to pop through first, or if you've got really big boobies, only your boobies are going to go through first, aren't they? So you're going to see those two bits first, little cross sections of it changing shape, and then the rest of your body's, your torso and your legs are going to start to be revealed. So the shape will change radically as you kind of pass through that dimension. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's back to that video, the 4D toys, which is linked in the in the Discord chat. If you guys haven't seen that, it's pretty amazing. Discussing basically what that looks like, kind of passing through these dimensional walls, or I guess that would be the veil, wouldn't it? We talk about the veil in terms of maybe ghosts and things like this, but if you say the other side of the veil, it could simply be like a scientific term for a fourth dimensional existence, right?
Yeah, or maybe like a bridge in between the two. In fact, coincidentally, Synchronicity King, Derek, just been on the Fringe TV show, the Fringe station. That in the TV show, they make a dimensional bridge between two dimensions, like a little pocket reality bit. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just think, well, it could be that kind of stuff. And then I think MJ was sort of alluding to that stuff in his call as well. He mentioned something I thought was quite fascinating, where he said it seemed like the energy while that experience was happening seemed more calculated. And I thought that was an interesting thing to say. I was curious about that. And he mentioned geometric shapes, and I thought, well, that's a bit like the beginnings of a psychedelic experience, geometric shapes, or what the Buddhists call the bardo state, or you get these time slowing down events when people have accidents, like traumatic incidents, or like in performing martial arts, you get that sort of slowdown thing, like a slightly altered frequency. Do you know what I'm saying? That bit of time dilation going on.
Yeah, exactly. And again, in the end, what the hell does all this mean? I have no frickin' idea, other than we started with Uri Geller and alien invasion imminent. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's interesting times we live in. That's for damn sure. 100%. We got a phone call. Ready to take a phone call, Rohan? You ready for this?
Sure am.
Fire and forget. Let's do it. That needs to be a T-shirt as well. Rohan, fire and forget. We got Matt in California. What's happening, my brother? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you? Welcome. You're on with Mike and Rohan. Go right ahead, sir.
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. Talking about weird shit on a Monday night, doing our thing, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and talk about this guy saying, he's a psychic, and he's saying that we're going to have an alien invasion.
Right.
And it's like, if he's psychic, you're so vague. You can't give me more. I want more answers. Like you can't tell me when, where, what. That's all you're going to give me. Just an alien invasion is coming.
Exactly.
You can't give me. You can't give details.
Well, he did say that they're going to make themselves known, and they're going to land on the White House lawn. So, cross your fingers. I'm praying this one's going to happen. Let's make this happen, guys. Can we manifest aliens on the White House lawn? Because that would be amazing. But yeah, you're right. Again, part of this whole thing that to me is I don't like the splotchy details like you're describing. It's like, come on, like which aliens, right? Like there's a lot apparently. The mantids and the reptilians and the greys. Which ones is it? Like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I have more questions like when and all that.
Exactly.
You can't tell me that.
Are they going to bring food, manna from heaven? What's going on with this? Right? When's the party? 100%. Yeah. So what else you got, my friend? So how about this? Have you ever heard of Uri Geller before tonight, or is this a new individual to you?
I've heard of his name, but I didn't know much about him. So I did learn about him. I didn't know about the UFO thing, him being touched by a UFO, which is interesting. If being touched by a UFO or a ball of light will give you psychic powers. It kind of reminds me of that movie Phenomenon with John Travolta. Have you ever seen that one?
I've never seen that one, no.
Without spoiling it, it's just pretty much John Travolta falls down and he sees a light, and then he gets like telekinesis and like psychic powers. But they never, like in the movie, it's interesting because they never really say like they never tell you like what it is. Like, did he hit his head and like knock something loose? Did he have like a brain aneurysm, or did he actually like get touched by a UFO, get touched by a light in the sky? Like, they never really tell you like what happened. So I think that's interesting. Like being touched by a orb or a light in the sky and then getting psychic powers. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it almost sounds like it might be based on his story, huh? That's weird.
Yeah, I've heard his name before, especially in this article recently that's been out that's saying, individual saying alien invasion, which I usually just skip over that because it just sounds like, kind of like you guys are saying, it sounds like it's asking for it,
Yeah, kind of.
I have heard of him. I've heard of him through the remote viewing stuff. I remember his name, but I didn't know much about him.
Gotcha.
So I did call. I want to talk about like how I say like I believe in this stuff. I believe in psychic powers and things like this. And we were talking earlier about cloud busting. Can I talk about that?
Yeah, go right ahead. Absolutely.
So like this stuff, this is like 101 like mental, how do you say it? Psychic development. So it clears your mind. It uses the power of air to like clear your mind. So it helps you. And the thing with all this stuff is, I think it's weird or whatever. If you don't do it, say practice. If you don't try it, you'll never know if you could do it. So this is something that anybody can do. You don't have to be like a level 10 magician or like initiated into any like crazy cults or anything. Anybody can do this. You just go outside on a day when you can see the sky and you can see clouds, moderately cloudy day, and just like, state your intention. Just say, I want to break apart this cloud with my mind, for the good of all, and pick a cloud, focus your intention in most people say to start out like in the center of the cloud and try to like, just basically like will the cloud to break apart, visualize it breaking apart in your mind, ask it to break apart, and just be patient and see if you can, focus on this piece of the cloud, try to break it apart. I usually try to do it like on the edges and try to break like a piece off of the cloud, but this is start in the middle and try to just like see if you just like break apart a cloud with your mind. And it's kind of trippy because if you try it, like I said, you have to try it. It does work. I've had it work, and sometimes maybe if it doesn't work, it wasn't supposed to be like the cloud was supposed to stay together for like a weather pattern or whatever. But it's one of those things. The more you try it, the more results you get. And for some people, something like that simple, it can like change the perception of like what we can do with our minds. And with the spoon bending stuff, I keep trying it. I've never actually done it. But in the Matrix, they say, there is no spoon. That was for in the Matrix, it being like a simulation program, there really was no spoon. But with spoon bending, the way I was taught is you're not trying to bend the spoon. What you're trying to do is focusing on like the thinnest part of the metal, like right before the spoon opens up, and like you try to heat that up with your mind. Like try to visualize it getting hotter and hotter and turning it into heat. And then you can like heat that. If you can heat that part of the spoon up, it will like melt the spoon. The metal will be more malleable, and then the spoon will bend.
Just gravity. Gravity will bend it down.
Yeah.
Because you've heated. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Again, I've never tried, never seen it happen. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, you'll never know if you don't try.
Yeah, exactly. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. Shout out to Matt here. Him and his wife Lacey came out, and we had dinner on Friday night. I appreciate that. That was a good time. And I'm always a little bit hesitant because I thought maybe Matt would be weirded out and be like, "Oh, Mike's a weird dude. I'm not coming back." But here he is, calling me on Monday. I appreciate it very much, bro.
No, it's all good, man. Good show tonight.
Thank you very much. Anything for him before he takes off there, Rohan, about cloud busting or any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I love that cloud busting example because, like I say, if you look back into it, you got the Wilhelm Reich stuff, and you have Sigmund Freud and a Kinsey guy. So it's really interesting. It's definitely worth looking up. So I'm glad you brought that up again. Like I say, there's all that pyramid power, organ energy, and yeah, I think there's definitely something to what I would say there is, because he did make it rain in the desert. He saved some strawberry crops, I think. So it's like, well, there's definitely something lurking behind this stuff. And I've come to this understanding with myself that if there's a Star Wars type The Force, then it's this thing that we call it with the Wilhelm Reich studies, we call it organ energy or orgonite. And then in the East they call it Chi, or in the South of Asia they call it prana, like the key stuff, the qigong, and it's magnetism. And it's interesting you was talking about the heat, because then that sounds like electro-thermocoupling, or thermostats. You have two different metals that will be heat up, at a different rate, so it makes one of them bend, because of thin line. And it's kind of like that. So then I think, well, hang on, does that mean that our magnetism, perhaps, or some mechanism, can agitate molecules to create enough heat energy to then bend the spoon? But then, and I keep harking back to remote viewing, but in remote viewing, it's been discovered that if you do remote viewing in a completely dark room, you can measure how many photons are there. There's still a few odd bits in there. And when people remote view the target, you get an increase in the amount of photons. And the same as when a sperm enters an egg in conception, you get a little flash of light. So it seems, there's some sound and light phenomenon going on in terms of communication with human beings. And the same can be said for our cells. They use sound and light to communicate as well. So it's food for thought.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I would say this stuff is, it's been around ancient. It's for a long time. And so like science is kind of just now catching up to it, giving it names and stuff.
Right on. Appreciate it. Matt in California.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Appreciate it. Very, very good stuff. There you go. Easy as that. You just pick up the phone, you dial, you can be on the show. I'm here with our good friend Rohan, the famous Liam Martin. He's got a podcast called Exiled Minds, and you heard it here first. The next episode is going to feature yours truly, Michael Strange. Looking forward to that. We'll set that up, Rohan, and get it done. And we got a few minutes left here, so if you guys want to squeak in with another phone call or jump into Discord, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And I don't know, man, what's the final thought here to kind of ramp this down, Rohan? Is it... Well, I kind of like where Night Stalker was headed myself with it. It's less important whether Yuri himself is real or not real, but also what's really going on in the world around us. I think that's the craziest part, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's my sort of general take home with it as well. And I had a little joke going on in my head about perhaps the Elon Musk Tesla technology. Maybe they didn't get it working, but they fake it somehow. And then that makes people believe in it enough to think that it works. And so then it becomes possible and they figure out a way to make it work. Do you know what I'm saying? A bit like pulling the answer from the future because you put yourself like on a timeline where it's now possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And again, we always talk about these sort of manifesting things. And again, I like the idea. So we were kicking around the idea, Rohan and I, of being on when we were on his show. He's going to try and convince me. I don't know if we're going to do this. Again, it's up to him what we're going to talk about. Well, we were kind of kicking around the idea if he wanted to try and convince me that magic is real, and through many different means. And it's just right. Remember that? And I think we did a little bit of that tonight, I think, so just kind of having that conversation. But I think the magic in terms of what it is by definition, is kind of different with other people. Some people manifest magic differently in that, like me in particular, I kind of don't believe in magic. But then again, words are spells and words matter and those. So what I mean, so it sort of becomes like this. this thing that you kind of can't deny in some cases, that there is, a magic about just think about a brilliant orator, right? Let's say Barack Obama, right? That guy could give a speech like nobody's business, right? Like he was extremely talented, just kind of with his dramatic pauses and the way he delivered and his calm demeanor. And, and then there's the opposite of that. You get like a brilliant orator like Alex Jones that takes his shirt off and goes, "The human pig chimeras, that's making the frogs gay." Just different styles, right? Different styles. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, in pop culture, we've got in the movie 300, you've got the guy that's the storyteller who's the narrator throughout the film. He's one of the Spartans that, in spoiler alert, in the story, gets sent home because he's a good storyteller. So he has to go and tell the story. It's like the words matter. And I think it was during Obama's time, there was that film, The Book of Eli, with Denzel Washington. And again, spoiler alert, if you've not seen it, it turns out it's about the last copy of the Bible, the King James Version of the Bible, and it's all about the power of the words. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's worth checking out.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So looking forward to that. We can have that discussion or whatever else you want to do there, Rohan. Okay, once again, yeah, you like
Sorry
it?
To cut you off there.
No,
I think we should do that. Yeah, because I always harp on about that book. So maybe we'll showcase that book that I got stuff from. I'll do loads of research. I'll get it all ready, and then we'll just go through it and just discuss it at the end.
Sounds good to me. I'm down. All right. So again, we're here with our good friend, the mighty Rohan. He's got a podcast called Exiled Minds. Give him some love. Brilliant dude, good friend of mine, and he's always spitting hot fire here. No matter what the topic, he's always got a take on here that. And I think the best part about these conversations and meeting amazing people like Rohan, like Night Stalker, like all you guys out there, like Matt in California just called, like Joseph in Iowa, like James of Salcedo Paranormal. I think I got everybody that called in tonight. We got Joseph on the phone. We'll go to him in just a sec. But the best part is that these discussions are not linear. And again, like I always say, it's we want to try and put things in a box like, oh, that's an alien, that's a ghost, this is a that. And I don't know. Now we're talking about in terms of Uri Geller, and he says that he had this metal that was breathing, that was part of a UFO, and that really turns everything on its head, doesn't it? Angels, demons, aliens, ghosts, UFOs being alive. I don't freaking know. Wild stuff. Let's go to Joseph and then we'll wind this up. Joseph in Iowa, welcome back to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead, sir. You're on with Mike and Rohan.
Hey, I just wanted to talk about the repetition. Like, I think repetition's definitely like powerful, and if like aliens are in other layers and we have like a positive repetition, or like we're doing something good, then that manifests in those layers. Like, for example, like I used to play like video games a lot, so I still do play video games a lot, but like in dreams you can get those physics mixed with memories, or however you construct your dream. Like, you can mix the virtual world into that dream. So I wonder how aliens would handle you if like you're like grew up playing Dragon Ball Z or something like that, and in your mind, as a kid, like, you have those powers. I think you would be a very powerful entity in that realm,
I see. And so I guess it comes back down to the way you envision your own reality, right? And would it affect theirs if they're trying to make contact? Or I think that's part of it. I think that's part of our discussions as well. It's sort of just kind of like taking a can opener to old ideas and just saying, hey, look, like these definitions may all be wrong. And that's what we're doing here. So I think that's a good way to put it, Joseph. I like the Dragon Ball Z. Like, what do they call that? Is it Super Saiyan? Is that Dragon Ball G? I don't even know.
Yeah. I know, though. I looked it up the other day, and it's like KO 10 times 3, and he goes flying into the air. It's funny.
So again, I barely know. Like, I don't know any of that stuff like that. It's embarrassing how much I don't know, but I knew enough to know that. So good stuff. I appreciate the phone call, Joseph. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
No, that's about it.
You're the best, brother. Joseph has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night, bro.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Give him a follow as well. Link is in the description. Follow Rohan. Follow links all down in the descriptions, guys. Go give all these fine people a follow because they make my world go round, and they make these shows we do here, these conversations, like tenfold better. It's not even close because me rambling on is sure fine, but you get hear these amazing takes from all these great people, and it turns everything on its head, and that's what it's all about. Let's wrap it, Rohan. What else you got? You got any hot fire for the end of this?
No.
Nah. What do you mean, nah? You're laughing like you had something queued up. Don't make me twist your arm.
No, I didn't. No. I was just thinking. I wrote some funny bars today, but yeah. No, Yuri Geller. Let's bring it back.
Okay, all right.
I think sometimes we have these designated characters, don't we? That might be like, I think a bit like Derek was saying, where there's this disseminating of information, where you have these sort of gatekeeper characters. It don't necessarily mean the shills, but I think you have these designated outlets, don't you, to sort of ease you in a bit. So I think that's my take on Geller. I think he's a cool guy. Like I said, we don't know these people, but it seems okay to me, and I'm appreciative of the fact that, at least they advertise this stuff, and being successful and being a success story and making some money on it, great, and it gives it notoriety. It's like, and as the Foresight Institute always say, when they started out, they thought they just had to prove aliens are real, and then it became about so much more, and because it just gets bigger and bigger and more complicated, and I think that's why we have to keep going and digging into this stuff. And do your own homework, get your own truth, sort of thing, and compete with others.
And don't forget to talk to other people, and don't forget that other people that think differently than you are not the enemy; they're valuable. Like those are the people you learn from that think differently. That's good. And again, like the way the media represents it, like those people are supposed to be the enemy, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like that's literally how you enrich your own life experience, is by speaking with people that don't agree with you. That's the whole point, right? Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll teach them something, right?
It's an opportunity. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's an opportunity. It's to be good, to have that challenging thing is an opportunity to lift some really heavy weights. And on the other side of things, when somebody's struggling and you put a hand out and help them up, that's an opportunity to meet somebody else and communicate with them on a different level. There's all different aspects, Yeah. It's not that if someone's walking in the opposite direction of you, the direction you're traveling is opposed, but you're not the direction. You're a completely different thing to the direction you're traveling, aren't you?
Yeah. And as my grandfather always said, the road goes two ways. The road goes two ways. And
I said the road goes two ways.
The road goes two ways, and he said it emphatically and loudly. And it was not only is it literal, but it's also philosophical, because it does. The road goes two ways in many cases. And here we are. Here we are, Rohan. Different sides of the pond on the same road, and I think it's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time tonight, bro. Thanks for hopping in here and having a take on this. Thanks for being you, and thanks for just being amazing, bro. I'm glad to have met you, and to many more, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been great to be here. So I really love your show, Mark, and it's great to be your friend. So thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine. Matt in the chat says, you know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you? Practice. Practice. I'm talking about practice.
Repetition again.
There's a repetition, right? Like you keep doing those things, and things get better, things get different, things get weird, and weird is where we like it. So let's roll it. I'm going to wrap some music, and you can wrap us outro, or you can be silent, or you can do whatever you want to do, Rohan. I'm going to play some music, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. And once again, don't forget to give Rohan a follow. Exiled Minds Podcast, links in the description. Go say hi. Go listen to some podcasts by Rohan, and I'll be on the next one, episode number 10. Go ahead, my friend. Whatever you got. No pressure.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Mike, the reason I was laughing earlier is because You missed MJ on the caller shout out. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I did. I missed MJ. See, it's inevitable. Like when you try and remember everybody, you screw yourself. So double shout out to MJ. See, thank you for pointing it out. Otherwise, I'd have missed it. Otherwise, I totally would have missed it.
It's not inevitable, Mike. Practice. You have to believe.
You have to believe. You have to believe. You won't leave somebody out. There you go. Like I said, I thought I got everybody. We left out MJ. MJ, you're the best. All right. Isn't that? There you go. There we go. All right. So here's what we're doing. We're done. So the bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. More Troubled Minds on the way. What do we talk about? All kinds of shit. We're all over the place. Off the rails. Not really ever on the rails because that's just so boring. Just turn on Sean Hannity or Don Lemon if you want that shit. And, well, we'll see you then. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, More Troubled Minds. And let's do it. Let's GTFO. Don't forget, give Rohan a follow. Exiled Minds. He's got a YouTube channel and a podcast up on the podcast feeds. Do that stuff, and there you go. What are rails, says James. And that's true. That's true. We spend too much time off them to even know what those things are anymore. But all right, if you want to help the show, you know what to do. We got a Patreon. There's a Rockfin you could sub up to, Twitch as well. If you like the show but you don't like it that much, you can help us by listening to the podcast feed. There are ads baked in. You can find it on Spotify, find it on iTunes, anywhere podcasts are found. And every time you listen to one of the podcasts, I get like 3 cents. So if you want to help, go listen to some old ones, maybe re-listen to some of the stuff you missed, whatever. And I appreciate it very much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Like I said, the most important thing is your time and your energy, because you could be doing 10 million other things right now, but you're here with us late on a Monday night. Thank you again, Rohan. You were the best, my friend. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Do you know what? I will give you a short rhyme, a really quick one. Just
all right,
Mike.
Roll it.
Ready?
Love to hear it.
Okay. The devil makes work for idle souls. I'm always being helpful, a handyman like an elf on a shelf or belfry dwarf from Dark Souls hell. I'm casting fire spells till the gargoyles melt. Asking ye shall receive, you can always call on me if ever you need help, unless it's the old ones and I'm gone. Jesus helps those that help themselves.
Nice. I love it. And by the way, Rohan can rap a little bit. I appreciate it. All right, as we finish, it goes a little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Yeah, that one's for Jay. Jay in New York, that one's for you, buddy. Have a great night, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow night. Stay safe.